Every city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is the Eve Universe Show! Hey, guys, it is actually December 16th, YC127. Forgot to mention that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back. Yeah, so if you, Poppy Pins, if you just go there to the link that gets linked after that, you can come to our Discord, and there's also, you know, other stuff. It's Malro, which is the main corporation in COE. We are recruiting, and of course, we're alpha friendly. We're here to maximize player engagement with EVE Online. All right, so today we have a few things to take care of. I do want to, like, on the outset, kind of do some administrative stuff, but like, so today we are here in Rennes because I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the event, how it's going, and look at more of like how it's valuable, right? But you know, I wanted to go a little bit out of my normal spot because I like to find kind of quieter areas, especially while I'm streaming, if I'm going to be doing stuff. So, you know, Mimitar space is very popular. There's a storm here outside of Rennes, and so I figured I'd come out here. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'll just post myself outside of the trade hub because that's what I do to begin my streams. And then I realized something very, very strange about Rennes. Now, I often talk about how CCP has like a strong Caldari bias or an anti-Galente bias, you know, sometimes jokingly, sometimes not so much. It is the worst winter event in EVE history. That's actually pretty good argument. That's a pretty safe take to make, but we'll talk about that in detail in a bit, because like, it's not hard to be the worst event in EVE history since the worst winter event in EVE history, because the winter event has traditionally been the best, most lucrative event. So the fact that it is, yeah, either way, we'll talk about that in a second. But first, here's a fun one. So this is, okay, there are 5 major trade hubs in EVE Online, okay? You know, obviously Jita is the biggest one, with Amar being second and Dodixie being third. And that's, you know, of course, Caldari, Amar, and Galente, respectively. Now, Mimitar is diffuse enough, low, like it's so low commitment on the Mimitar market is that it's actually split between 2 different markets, right? There's Rennes, and then there's Heck. Heck is right next to LowSec, right next to Pirate Faction Warfare, or right next to Faction Warfare, so it's always been kind of this pirate / PvPer trade hub, although it's changed a little bit now that it went from a 0.5 to, I think, a 0.8. I can't remember exactly what Heck is right now. But the other trade hub is Rennes, which is a little bit deeper into Mimitar space and is kind of the more established high-secker trade hub of the 2. And like, which one is the most popular can be a matter of debate, and that's not really what I'm here for. What I'm here for is this very curious thing, which is that when CCP formally acknowledged and recognized the different trade centers, you know, they built the new Jita station, but at the same time, they then renamed the Galente station and the Amar station as the, you know, Galente trade hub and the Amar trade hub as part of their type, right? Like if we go to Dixie, it's not the name, right? Like this is the Federal Navy Assembly Plant, but if you go and look at its type when you're there, it'll say Galente trade hub as its type, right? In the same, but and in Amar, the Imperial Academy is the Amar trade hub. What I find fascinating here is that what I'm outside of right now is not the Mimitar trade hub in Rennes. Spoilers, Nosy. The Minmatar Trade Hub is allegedly, what's weird is that there's actually 2 stations in Rennes that are of the type Minmatar Trade Hub. 817, which is the Brutor Tribe Bureau, and 720, the Sister of Eve Bureau. So clearly that's not right. There's not 2 structures or 2 stations that are the Trade Hub in Rennes. But what's fascinating is that neither of these stations are the one that we're outside of right now. And if we open up the market and we search for basically anything, we can see that everything is at 6.8, which is where we are right now. We're at 6.8. This is where all of the major stuff is. We can go to Executor. We can actually see that there are a couple things at 717, but the vast majority of everything is at 6.8. So there are 2 stations. You switched to going to Heck instead of Rennes? Well, yeah. So there are 2 stations that are labeled as Minmatar Trade Hubs, one of which is extra confusing because both the real Trade Hub and the one that's mislabeled as the Trade Hub are both Brutor Tribe stations. We have the Brutor Tribe Bureau, which is labeled as the Minmatar Trade Hub, and then we have the Brutor Tribe Treasury, which actually is the Trade Hub. So hopefully CCP will fix this or something, because it's very confusing. Like, it's already a big it's already confusing that there are 2 trade hubs or, you know, whatever markets in Minmatar space, but that's not CCP's fault. That's just kind of the way that things have played out over time. But the fact that CCP, I assume, mislabeled which one was the trade post, and then also like doubled down and mislabeled a different station as the trade post, is pretty wild to me. Just found that out and thought that was pretty curious. All right, so what are we doing today? We have a little bit of news, not that much news, but a little bit of news. Hold on. Yep. To cover. But today I want to kind of look a little bit into the Winter Nexus, its rewards, and how, you know, what's good and what's bad, and how hopefully to look at how to get the most out of it, and also to do a little bit of a dangerous experiment. But before we jump into the in-game stuff, let's cover the news. With the fact that it is absolutely true that today is your first day. Today, if you're watching this live, is the last day, rather, not first day, the last day that you can that you can log in and get the final reward. Okay, so, you know, we've talked about this before with the login reward track. As you you can log in all of the days of the track. So, you know, there are more prizes afterwards. But the main prize, the biggie, the 325,000 skill points for Omega is on day 26, which, if you look, there's only 27 days remaining. So I think that today is basically the last day that you can start logging in and still make it to the skill point rewards. So if you've already started logging in, great. Otherwise, you know, today you no longer get to miss any days if you start from now on. Okay. Okay. So let us jump back into this post just to see if there's anything else to cover. The winter storms are raging and the Yule lads are roaming in storm-affected systems across known space. Today is the day to jump in, as the biggest SP haul will drop on day 26. If you haven't noticed, Yule lads can unlock the Aurora Universalis skin for the Outrider and the Odysseus. That's right. So this is actually one of those things that they kind of hid. They told you that the Odysseus skin comes from finishing the Yule lad track. What they don't tell you is that halfway through the Yule lad track, it actually also provides you the Outrider Aurora Universalis skin. Also, keep your eye out for rare express versions of the lads, which are guaranteed to drop cryotech and may have other valuables in their hold. This was something that we had already kind of figured out, that there were express, like, basic. I don't know if it's one per area of space because it's kind of hard to pin down which Yule lads are supposedly bound to certain areas of space. But either way, the express ones are kind of the elite ones that are worth a little bit more. They are guaranteed to drop cryotech, and I guess they have a higher chance of dropping extra goodies and stuff too. Yeah. So then today is the last day to begin logging in for a chance to claim the skill point haul. Sorry, the last day is 17th of December. So tomorrow is actually the last day. The day 26 haul gives, yeah, we covered all that. A total of 650,000 skill points for Omegas. And remember, you can always activate Omega partway through the event and claim all previous pieces of the track. What types of ships do the Yule lads fly? They look like this. They look like Galente haulers, although the icon appears to be a freighter. And in the overview, they are of the type Interbus Yule lad, if you need to add them to your overview. Okay, so take on combat, hacking, mining, and other challenges to earn points in the seasonal track, giving you rewards, including the new Perseverance Ice Mining Destroyer. Hunt Yule lads for points, but also cryotech that unlocks greater challenges and loot in the Winter Nexus site. On the 5th of January, the seasonal track extends, which gives you more reason to be active in the ice storms. New Aurora Universalis skins are obtainable by logging in every day and throughout the event challenges, alongside other treasures including Plex, skill points, skinner components, and boosters. Paragon Hub is discounted right now until the 12th of January. Speaking of which, actually, one of the things I'd really like to do, if people are interested, is maybe do like a giveaway or like some sort of contest or whatever. But either way, what I'd like to do is maybe spend some time like making custom skins for people, right? Like if we could do some skinner designs, especially since the printing out of skins right now is super cheap. So I have a lot of the materials and stuff for doing skinner designs. So if people are interested in me making you a custom skinner design on stream, hit me up either like privately in Discord or in chat or comment in there, and we'll see how it does. Also, just to give you guys an idea of how this week is going to go, like I said, today we're going to cover, hopefully it's going to be the last major day to cover like the Yule event as it is right now. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as it were. Tomorrow, I am likely not going to be streaming. I've got, you know, real life stuff to take care of. But Thursday, I want to know right now. And like, so in the comments, in chat, DM me. Now is your time to influence me. So, I've been meaning to do the Galente presidential election. And I've also was supposed to do the armor tanking guide, or sorry, the tanking guide, I should say, as part of my series. I'm also supposed to be going back and editing some of my older videos in order to like tighten them up and re-release them, which I've started kind of working on those, but I'm a one-man operation, so whatever. But on Thursday, so my goal is to, by the end of the year, complete those two videos, both the presidential election and the tanking guide. But I'm curious as to which one of those two, or maybe something else that I may have promised and never gotten around to, will be what we focus on the Thursday show. So let me know. On Thursday, I will be either doing the tanking guide or the Galente election. We already got one vote for the election. I don't know which one of those is going to be the most interesting to you, guys. So just let me know, and that is what we will hit up on Thursday. Also, today we will be covering, you know, we'll do all of this Yule lad stuff. We'll do all of the, we'll satisfy ourselves with the Winter Nexus, and then when we're done with that, today I'm hoping to hop over to Phasmophobia for the second part of the stream, because there's a new update there, including brand new ghosts. So it's a good opportunity for us to jump in there with like very little information. You guys can watch me be spooked out. So there are no election embossing. Oh God. To catch them, you need a warp scrambler. You don't actually technically need a warp scrambler. They can warp off. Actually, just earlier today, I managed to, I hit one, it warped off, I followed where it went, I chased it down and then I killed it in its new location. Glente should be on the 20th, 1 year since they announced, except for it's on Saturday. I might still be able to figure out how to... Well, I could... Malak, I could record it on Thursday and then try to get the edited version out by the 20th. That might be a little bit much, but we'll see. In the meantime, there are community guides for the events. And there are Winter Nexus Twitch drops, and of course the Winter Nexus Festival Pack, which we already looked at. All right, so speaking of Skinner, I am currently in my my endurance, because that's what I want to test out here in a few minutes. But I have actually made a new winter skin that I'm hoping to print out here in a little bit. But unfortunately, one of the patterns isn't available yet, like, because it's later on in the reward tree, and I went and looked on in Dodixie for it. What do you guys think? It is blinged out. This is my new Christmas tree skin. If anybody is interested in that, I can probably print out more than one once I get, especially if we get more copies of the pattern. This pattern is, let's see. So it's day 23. So in what, 15 days, I'll be able to make this skin. It'll almost feel too late, but whatever. But I also am here with my all-in-one setup, which now works. I do want to point out. So last time we tried to do a site in an Odysseus, and it was super sketchy. No neon green. There's no neon green in that, I don't think. Like, part of the whole thing is that it's all a lot of reflective and shiny and colors that change depending on angles. So that green is actually not, like, it's only green, or it's only teal from a specific angle because of the opalescence. Any rate, so I did tweak my Odysseus to make it work. So my all-in-one setup now does work, although, you know, it is needs green for Christmas. I actually, yeah, I moved away from it in the end because I didn't have a really good, like, one to play with in those colors. This ended up being good. But either way, this is my new all-in-one setup. It does work. I've got my Odysseus here. I've got my Endurance that I was just in. And then I have the Magnate Navy issue for hunting the Yule Lads. And this allows me to do all of the sites in HiSec. So I can do combat and hacking with the Odysseus. I can do Yule Lad hunting with the Magnate. And I can do ice mining with the Endurance. And they all fit in my ship maintenance bay. And that's amazing. And I love it. Although it currently has stuff in it. Hey, thank you. The way I fixed this is actually, there's two pieces to how I fixed what went wrong, or like how it's a little bit weak during the actual fight. So first of all, so basically I had a little bit of a problem with tank. So I did drop a drone damage amplifier for a second repper, and that more than covers it. In fact, one of the things I did find out is that, especially when I changed to a resistance burst, I really only ever needed one repper. But here's the secret. Here's the kicker. Actually, I should have pulled this up. Let me pull this up real quick. Eve ref. So so here is the final rat in the event site. There's actually 7 of them published, so I'm not 100% sure which one is which. But if we look, they're not exactly the same. They're probably these are different in different environments, but we can see that, like, proportionally they are basically the same. Where is it? Yeah, 12 damage, 12 damage, 12 damage, 12 damage. 12.12. There it is, 12.12. So yeah, they're all doing the same base damage. Let's check to see the multiplier. Where is it? Offense. No. Weapon multiplier, 50. Weapon multiplier, 50. Weapon multiplier, 70. So yeah, these are all basically the same ship, but they have different, like, magnitudes based on whether or not they're the hardest one or the not so hard one or whatever, right? But either way, the proportions stay the same. So what I noticed is actually what we see here is we have EM and thermal, which is what we would expect, and basically all of the rats in the site does that, with a huge multiplier, 50, 70, 60, depending. But there's actually a torpedo as well. If you pay attention, you get hit by the Sancha's missile as well. And it's not your normal missile. It's a Banshee torpedo. Banshee torpedoes are a special missile, I think, just for this. It's slow and dumb, but sheer damage potential is simply staggering. It does a high amount of explosive and kinetic. So when you do the math, it actually ends up by how fast it shoots these missiles versus how fast it shoots the turret. It ends up doing effectively an even spread of damage across the board, with a little bit possibly of extra ammo or extra damage on the explosive kinetic side of things. Now, the problem that this has is, as I mentioned, the whole rest of the site is just normal lasers. Like if we go back and looked at all of the other rats in the site, they should all be pretty much exclusively EM and thermal, which means if you're like me and you rely on a reactive armor hardener, when the Sancha battleship shows up, your armor hardener is fully tuned to EM and thermal. I was about to replace this multispectrum with either a thermal hardener or an EM hardener, but then I was very glad that I went and double checked to make sure that, you know, it was in fact only two types of damage, because it wasn't, right? So what ends up happening is your tank is fully tuned towards EM and thermal, right? And then it starts showing up and doing a high amount of explosive and kinetic, which if you watch the actual video where I fight one, that totally tracks with the fact that I take a little bit of damage and then suddenly this big spike of damage as the missiles begin to hit. And the problem is that, like, the alternating, because the missiles are slow, it confuses the reactive a little bit, so it's harder for it to realign correctly. So ultimately, what's nice is that there's this window of time, it's like almost 10 seconds from when the last rat dies to when the battleship shows up. So what you can do is you can turn off the reactive armor hardener, and then as soon as the battleship shows up, you turn the reactive armor hardener back on. This is a trick that gets used in PvP sometimes, but like rarely ever becomes super important. But right now in this site, it is important. If you use a reactive armor hardener, turn off your reactive hardener, turn it off right before the battleship and turn it on again right as you're beginning to engage with the battleship, because then it starts back at neutral and then realigns. And what I noticed was it almost exclusively went explosive kinetic after that, because that's where my weaknesses was, right? Like I have 72 thermal, although that gets, I think that gets increased by the weather effect. But I only have 61 explosive and 72 kinetic. So that sudden damage in explosive and kinetic into my hull was what was spooking me when it comes to the previous stuff. Oh yeah, that's right, because this is also showing my boost. So it would be only 67% thermal without boosts. So that is ultimately how I figured out how to beat the site with the Odysseus. It's still not overly efficient. I could show you guys if you wanted to. It's easy to lose drones. You have to pay very close attention to them, especially at the very beginning. If you have your drones out when the battleship shows up, the battleship just blaps one without you being able to do much. Yeah. So I haven't tried it in any of the harder sites or whatever, but I do want to report that I have at least gotten this ship to be pretty comfortable in the sites, other than trying to babysit my drones. Also, I did swap out the, what was here? I don't know. I think it's been a couple different things. I changed it to a webifier just because it does help with the drones and the turrets to be able to hit things, the faster stuff in particular. You don't have a lot of time to kill the stuff because they're actively trying to kill your drones. So that's the story of the Odysseus and the combat sites, but not really what we're going for today, right? Yeah. Okay, so today, so far we've shown off a bunch of sites in HiSec. Oh yeah, the question that we want to talk about is the event, quote unquote, worth it? Now, here's a good example of the discourse from Reddit. This is Ben Rivax posted yesterday. Loot from 1,271 ore green salvage packages. Bless your heart. By the way, why is he doing this? I have a guess. Ready? So on the event track, just in case you guys weren't, speaking of how to get the most out of this event, everybody gets the endurance expert system by now, so you can do that. But also in the event track, you can see there is 25 plex here. But the issue is, like, I've completed this track on this character. I can go, I can log off, head over to my other character on the same account. And I can open up the event and see, oh, I could earn it all over again. And this is true about basically any event. And this is one of the spooky things about doing things like putting Plex on the account. So if you've got, you could theoretically, if you wanted to, earn 75 Plex per account on top of all of the rest of the rewards for the track. So just bear that in mind, right? Especially those of you who have completed the track already. And it's like, well, what's the point now? You could theoretically complete it on other characters on your main account, especially if you're like me and I don't use my expert system because I've already trained the endurance. So now I could use my expert system on this character and grind this out real quick if I felt like it. This is one of the reasons why we've been seeing these giant swarms of endurances in a way that we haven't seen before. Not worth the ISK per hour IMO? Maybe, maybe not. Well, the problem is that when you combine everything together, especially when they are multi-boxing them, it becomes a lot more worth it. So I'm just pointing out, like, this is the case. This is one way to do it. So the question is, like, why would this guy? I'm trying to answer the question of, like, why this guy would even have this many green chests in the first place. And the answer is, if he's got multiple accounts and potentially multiple characters on multiple accounts, he's doing this to get multiple perseverances, which sell. Let's actually see how much they sell for still, because obviously the price has collapsed a little bit. Probably. Yeah, the perseverance is still 300 million ISK a piece, and are still selling. I mean, plenty of them a day at those price points. So there's that, there's the Plex, there's the other pieces of this of these rewards, and then there's of course the green loot boxes themselves, right? So makes an interesting point when it comes to why somebody might want to grind this many loot boxes in the first place. Now, let's go look at what the results are. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have like an estimated value shown, like he doesn't show the bottom of the thing. But what we do see is a whole bunch of boosters, a whole bunch of filaments, a whole bunch of Skinner materials, which one of the things that did I see them? Yes, I did see them at patch notes today, Malak. I feel like CCP has my room bugged. Because just yesterday I was complaining about the fact that the market, when opening special edition commodities, locks. That was what was locking up my computer, and CCP fixed it. I think we'll test it. Either way, one of the things I notice here is that, like, this is a whole, like, he's got multiple of most of the Skinner elements. So while we can't necessarily tell for sure, what we can see is since there is no like 2 stacks of the same exact one, chances are there are no unlimited Skinner components for any of these pieces. These all appear to be limited Skinner components. So that's one thing to just mention. And then all of these skins. Now, the Aurora Universalis skins used to be exclusively from doing event tracks and stuff like that. But now each year they make previous year's skins available as drops. So here we have a bunch of those, and some of those can be quite valuable, especially since Aurora Universalis skins are pretty popular overall as far as a skin line goes. And these are the only ways to get them now, and so they are relatively limited. Some of those are valuable. In addition to that, we do have the agency boosters, which do keep their value because, you know, they've dropped enough time at this point that their value is relatively stable. We have the accelerators, which probably isn't actually that much anymore. There's been so much competition added to accelerators. Let's look. Is this? So, like, the Master Arms Cerebral Accelerator, which you get for using, you know, if you do a buddy code, like you can use mine to support people that help make the channel and stream and alliance possible. This is kind of the standard now, because these kind of get introduced into the game very, very regularly. So 60 million to 64 million. Obviously, this has been pushed down some by these accelerators being added to like bundles and deals and the store and stuff. So 60 to 64 million for a Master Arms Cerebral Accelerator, down from like 90 a year ago or so, I think. Yeah. Half a year ago, whatever, either way. And then like, so the standard brain freeze, basic brain freeze is sitting at 1.5 million, so not very much. These are not as good. 4 points for 1 day, as opposed to the Master of Arms, which is 10 points for 1 day. So twice as good. So that's one of the reasons why they're so low value. And then the extended brain freeze is worth 26 to 32 million. And this is 6 points for 3 days, which again, reminder, this 3 days doubles to 6 days if you have biology 5. And then the potent brain freeze is 8 points for 1 day at 23 million. So none of these three are as good as the Master at Arms. And actually, the extended appears to be the most valuable because it's 3 times as long, which means like, so it's 6 points versus potent, which is 8 points. So this is only a third more skill points per second or whatever you want to call it, but 1/3 of the time. So, definitely you get the most amount of skill points over per accelerator used by using the extended, which has caused it to become the most expensive. You get the most skill points in a period of time by using the potent, and those are 24. But of course, you get the most by using Master of Arms, which gives you 10 instead of 6 or 8. So those are like another piece of the big prize. The reason why we're having to estimate these out is because, well, I mean, obviously they don't have estimates, but part of the problem when it comes to calculating these kinds of things is that the value of this stuff, the stuff that drops from the event, because they're new, they're all listed at 0 value, right? So the big key here, the big value that's sitting here that I can see is actually this Nation Stormhive tickets, right? So this is, 1.4 billion, right? Because these are 1 million ISK a piece from NPC buy orders, and there's 1,400 of them, so that should be 1.4 billion, and that's 1,400 of them in 1,200 loot crates. So this shows pretty definitively that you get, on average, about 1 to 1.2 of these Stormhive shards per green salvage chest, plus this other value, which means that the overall chest is probably worth 1 to 1.5 million on average, maybe 2. And it makes sense. And then the green orange, the actual pack itself is for sale. Is it for sale? Hold on. Yeah. Is for sale for 500,000 buy to 1.7 billion, or so 1.7 million sell. And so that tracks, that measures about right. That, normally I actually would have expected it. It used to be a little bit higher. Generally speaking, it's actually better to sell boxes as a box if you just want the raw value, because gamblers are a funny species. But yeah, so the ore green salvage package is not the greatest way of making ISK per se, but it is very consistent, right? So then the question is, where is the real value, right? Let's see, is there anything else that stand out to me as maybe something that we haven't noticed? There are some Sancha faction stuff, but all of those are pretty mid. So part of this is that you didn't necessarily get lucky, but you're also probably not... Oh, there's a True Sancha Repper. You're not going to get too lucky out of just the high-sec ice mining sites unmodified. It's basically the lowest reward that you can get. Now, the hacking site is by far the most odd to me, because the hacking site is still pretty decent for a hacking site in its environment, as far as just the reward per can. Now obviously the hacking site only has 1 can per site, 2 if you use the extra doodad. Now my buddy Spoons, friends of the show, has sworn to me over and over again that the extra can in the hacking site is where the good stuff is. I disagree. I've tested this out a few times. Doesn't seem to actually work. But could be. I mean, I've gotten pretty decent loot off the main can. It just feels to me like an extra can. And what's weirdest about it to me is that, I thought that this was a bug. I thought that this was the worst bug of the entire event, which is that the can that gets uncloaked by using the doodad does not count towards the track. So it's just a bonus can that's just an extra can. It doesn't seem to be extra weighted or anything like that. It's just 1 additional can that doesn't even count for the track. So in my opinion, that's pretty bogus. I suppose if you already have the doodads. But yeah, the question that I want to have today, we did cover last time that the ice mining in high sec with the doodad makes it worth about 1 million ISK more. And so, the doodads being about 1 million made sense. So today we're going to do something a little bit interesting. I want to try to get the most out of the ice mining stuff. Over the weekend, we did the low sec ice mining event, and let me tell you, way better. Maybe or maybe not as good as it was previous years, but it was very much the best like value that we had gotten out of it so far. Now, admittedly, we got to mine for basically 3 hours in low sec with minimal interference. And I also got extraordinarily lucky in my attempts. I did get, so the biggest prize, I think, in the entire event is every single time you finish mining a block, one of the rocks, there is a chance of you getting a peculiar salvage crate in your cargo hold. That is the single largest prize or potential in the entire event, as far as I've been able to find. Maybe the combat site is different or a little bit more, but that one can in my can have, when I opened it, had 54 of the shards, which is 54 million by itself, plus a bunch of extra stuff. And in my case, because I got extra lucky, I got a Sancha heatsink out of it, which is worth 110 million ISK. So basically one crate in low sec was worth 160 million ISK. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good, especially since the crates themselves were also worth a lot more that you got from turning in and stuff. Now, obviously, it is a bit more dangerous, but it's not that much more dangerous because you are in a site that a lot of people can't get into, and you also get to be far away from the entry beacon. So even if somebody does try to catch you, you have plenty of opportunity to get away. So what we're going to try to do today is we're going to try to do some low sec ice mining live on stream. So many things only happen to streamers. Lucky, I guess. Well, even the people, yeah, even the people that were with me, like Malak didn't get anything lucky out of the entire thing. And in 3 hours, he got 200 million. So that's still extremely good for just, sitting in a relatively safe environment with an endurance with your friends, right? So when we go to low sec, obviously the danger of it is going to be the big thing, which is why I've changed my fit to not have my super fancy abyssal laser. But that's okay. There are multiple ways of getting into low sec. Right now, we could use a filament. We could absolutely use a filament. In fact, hold on. Let me. Oh, nope, I undocked. I do have filaments here that we could use. One of my favorite ways would be to scan out a low sec wormhole. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one today because that brings you into low sec in a way that isn't, is weird. You can also, if you want to find a slightly squirrely way to get into low sec, you could go in through, if you go locations, you can actually check out the Eve Scout. Is this the right one? Yeah. So the Eve Scout bookmark collection shows a bunch of wormholes from points to points, including Thera, right? So you could theoretically find like the closest low sec. So here I find a site, one that leads to Turner. Now, obviously, Turner's a pretty active low sec area, so I might not necessarily want to go there. But if I started in Turner or I go to Turner, I could find another wormhole to a different low sec area. That could be juicy. Also, I could head here to go to Thera. And then from Thera, I have a whole bunch of other low sec sites, theoretically, that I could go to. Like, really? Hold on. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess we'd have to see other sites going to Thera. So most of these are nullsec right now. Does Thera mostly connect to nullsec? I thought it had more high-sec connections. But you could also use drifter holes to get around to find a secret scroll way to Thera, or to low-sec. You could use the filaments, but today I'm going to do this the dumb way, which is I'm going to just try to head to low-sec because I'm in a cloaky ship, so why not? So we're going to see how this works. Hold on, let me double-check my implants. Oh, yeah, I should probably change that. Let me change this real quick. Actually, this isn't a place to go do my implants. Whenever you're doing something extra silly, you should probably clean up your implants. I am going to go into low-sec the old-fashioned way, exactly. One of my advantages is that this ship doesn't get slowed down when I cloak, so I can always cloak in micro-warp drive. Could have been bad. I mean, I wouldn't be the first time I've done it, but it would definitely make it a lot more hairy. All right, so I have too many clones. This one, what do I have there? Hold on. Alphabetical G. I have too many stations that I have stuff in. I know. But I like it that way. I promise. Unless I'm trying to look up a specific system. Gershi? What was I doing? What did I leave there? Nothing. Nothing? G-E-R. Yeah. I have nothing there? All right, well, die. So now I can install a clone here. And I can jump into it. Yeah. Also, yeah, let's check while we're waiting. Let's go ahead and open up the market and then pull up special edition assets, special edition commodities. Oh my God, so much faster. Oh, I feel like it's doing the lazy loading thing. I can tell because the scroll bar is shrinking over time. Well done. Good job, CCP. Which combat suit is this? This is the Kybernaut suit that we got for participating in invasions. Okay. Augmentation. Yep, we're good. We're good. So now the worst thing I'm going to lose is an endurance, which is fine. Now, I was very happy with the results of the mining stuff, but I do have 5 of these resolvers. Oh, yeah, that's right. So this is, let's see, let's call it a minute. So 7 minutes for 1 million ISK seems very low. Very, very high-sec mining value coded. Like, you definitely, it's not, the high-sec mining is definitely not the most efficient way of making ISK. In fact, there's probably better high-sec mining if you find the better sites. But as far as, like, just being able to go there and just chill for a while, it's great. Hold on a second. I just realized I am going through the safer way. Let's not even, hold on. Let's go shorter. There we go. We're doing this the dumb way. Let's see how Amamake feels this time of year. High-sec and a Hulk is like 1 million per 30 seconds. Yeah, but the problem there is that the Hulk also then has to travel the distance to turn in. And that can be a pain in the ass if you don't have boosts. Oh, yeah. That's fair. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you maximize your high-sec mining, you can almost certainly get more value than that. But you got to remember that you're also going down the track, you know, earning the other pieces, and you can get jackpots and stuff. So, I think in the end, it probably ends up being I mean, it's not nothing. Yes, yes, Edencom Fortress. Let's see if that's going to be dangerous for me. Nope. I win. So I have decided that we're going to go after this storm here. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be quiet, even though it's in the war zone. It's in a stable area of the war zone. So I'm going to hope for the best. Having an Executor sitting on the gate doesn't make me feel better. Oh, man. All right, let's go. Vard, of course, is a fairly famous system recently, as it was one of the 3 systems that the Amar put their stellar transmuters. And it's one of the systems that the Mimitar faction warfare guys successfully recaptured before the end of, or before, you know, it could become a problem, and therefore gained Mimitar control over it, and they managed to successfully shut it down. We'll go check that out real quick. Come on, there we go. Yeah, here's the decommissioned, or the shut down Imperial prototype stellar transmitter that's been basically was taken over by the Mimitar and was successfully shut down during the events that led up to the Shadow War and the creation of the shipcasters. Anything else that's worth poking at while we're here? These are all just faction warfare sites. Yeah, that's it. So obviously the Endurance does not have a covert ops cloak like the Prospect does, but it does have that bonus that makes it so it can move around while the improved cloak is on, which is pretty nice. Wow, okay, so this system is almost empty. Ooh, tasty. Where is... So 36 AU away for the volatile ice field. I'm going to guess that it is in that direction. So we're going to... What planet is that? 7? We're going to warp to 7. Who's this guy? Sedition. Okay. There's an Express Tool Swiper. I don't have that. He has combat probes out, and he's in a Jackdaw. So that's fine. That's perfect. That means that he can't get into the site. So as long as I can get into the site in time, I win. I'm going to cloak. I'm going to scan the outside of the site, because landing on the site is the only dangerous part. Okay, so the site is clear. I'm going to warp to it and hope he doesn't figure out that that's where I'm going. Looks like I'm fine. He's got other things to worry about. There's no way to get decloaked in low sec unless someone got right on top of me. There is a decloaking structure. They can drop a observatory, which puts out a decloaking ping every 10 minutes, but they're pretty expensive. So here we are in the ice mining site. Let's get away from the beacon and change my radius to 1 AU, so that way I only see things that are actually spooky to me. And let's go ahead and start mining. Yeah, they can be dropped in low sec. Do you have to warp to 0? Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure earlier I warped to one of the gates at 10, and you don't land within activation range. There's also something in Triglavian. Yes, in Triglavian, in Pochfin systems, the effect beacon in Pochfin systems, or rather the Das Liminality Locus, I think it is, puts out a decloaking ping now. Okay, so this did spawn some rats, although honestly, unless you get the low-sec specific clone soldiers, the rats aren't that bad. We'll see how this works. I should actually just be able to kill them. It took 2 endurances last time to kill a the battleship. We'll have to see. That makes so much sense why I was decloaked after AFK cloaking in Pochfin. I was like, how am I not dead and how am I so dumb? Yeah, basically. Even in high sec, which is annoying because my home is a minor victory. Is that true? Did they decloak in high sec minor victories too? Whoopsie. That's kind of interesting. I can't lock them. No, yeah, we've had problems with a clone soldier show up, and then you basically have to bolt. It's one of the most dangerous things that could happen. But right now, like, local is effectively empty. This is actually way more safe than I thought it would be. I'm almost disappointed, but we're gonna check this out. So it's gonna take 7 minutes for a turn-in, probably, right? Is this my second cycle? Probably, right? Else would I have 2? Yeah, okay. I can lock him now. Am I going to lock the one that I'm attacking? Of course not. Why would I be able to do that? They're actually doing more damage than I would like them to. My shields are at 73%. Oh, okay, I'm killing him though. All right. Are the rewards better in low sec? The rewards are the best in low sec. So the lowest tier reward is in high sec, the middle reward is in null sec, and the best rewards are in the middle rewards are in null sec, and the best rewards are in low sec. Yeah. Man. I found a Gila wrecked 123 million for free. Oof. Yep. I mean, that's the fun thing about EVE Online, right? Like, the things that we go out and do are usually pretty, like, simplistic, but that isn't what it's all about. It's just like the things that happen and the things you run into when you're just out there, not, bouncing into things. That's why, like, when I focus on what I'm doing, like, one of the reasons why I fly the Odysseus is because it's like, I just want to fly the Odysseus. So even if I'm just running, dens in high sec for escalations or whatever, it's like, who cares? I just want to fly around in the Odysseus and shoot at things. That's what I want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. It's a yellow wreck, which means a player killed that guy. Probably. So on the weekend, we had a little fun, and we had an endurance and a perseverance inside the ice site when we had a few recons and cloaked ships in the entrance, and it worked well as a bait ship. That's cool. Yeah, the perseverance is a very interesting ship. I think that CCP wanted to play around. Like, I don't think it's any accident that the perseverance, when pushed to its kind of highest levels, is roughly the equivalent of the endurance pushed to its highest levels, because it wasn't meant to like replace the endurance per se. Certainly not, since the endurance is Tech 2, but rather I really think that a lot of this expansion has been about playing with ideas and introducing new concepts to Eve that like open up the design space while not trying to like ruin everything in that, right? So the biggest thing that's happening right now is like the idea of crits, right? The consortium issue ships are very crit focused ships. So the question becomes, what does crit based gameplay look like for mining? And in particular, ice mining. And this goes back to the how good are ice mining crits video that I just put out a couple days ago from the first stream, which I would like to remind people, never got those crits again. So, whatever. But, when an endurance crits, it gives you like 4 or 5 blocks in a single cycle. And that's the whole thing, is that like, if you can push up that crit amount as well as the crit rate. And so when it comes to ice, this actually can become a huge difference, because if you mine 5 blocks instead of 1 block, that is a huge difference. 9 blocks instead of 1 block, huge difference, right? Or 9 blocks instead of 2 blocks, huge difference. So and the thing is that it makes ice mining feel significantly different than ore mining, because like an ore crit, you're like, oh cool, more ore. But with an ice crit, it really is a very, very impactful crit just by the way that you get extra blocks, right? Yeah, and then you can also like bling out your lasers to make it so that you get cool rewards even when, or you can get 2 blocks even without critting, and that can be cool too. But mutaplasmids can be expensive right now. If they were smart, they would make us push a button when a crit occurs. I don't know if it needs necessarily that, but yeah. Either way, the point is that what the perseverance does is add kind of the extreme idea of like, what would a crit based ice mining ship look like? And it actually, like, the crits make ice mining feel a lot better and a lot different than just normal ore mining. But like, the problem with crits is that if it's good, it can be stupid good, right? Like, keeping crit under control in a game, especially when you start allowing people to increase their crit rate, can be broken when it comes to balance. And so, like, the introduction of the perseverance isn't designed to change the meta. Quite the opposite. It's probably designed to explicitly not change the meta, right? It doesn't allow alphas to ice mine. It doesn't change the ability, like the throughput of smaller ships to be able to mine ice. But it does introduce this new idea of a ship that is focused more on critting, which means it it disproportionately benefits from things like boosts rather than an endurance, which does get better with boosts, but not nearly as much effectiveness increase when being supported by boosts. And so, like, they're opening up the design space without necessarily disrupting the overall meta. And they can tweak it from there, which is also why I believe that they haven't told us when or how we're ever going to get these ships again. Because they could just be special edition ships, right? They could just be like the Noctis or the Prime, or not the Noctis, but like the Prime or the Zephyr, or more likely than not, something like the SOCT ships. Because like if they come out with them during, you know, each winter event or something like that, for example. But along with like the Odysseus and a bunch of the other things that they've kind of introduced into the game with this expansion, I feel like they have their goal overall is to experiment with ideas and introduce new ideas of how things work into the universe without actually disrupting anything. And then from there, they can tweak things until like crazy edge cases potentially emerge. Do you really think that they'll bring crits to combat weapons? Yeah, there already is. That's called wrecking shots. Remember the rejuvenation expansion? I hear wormholes are begging for some attention. Yeah. Uh-oh. Wonderland, did you accidentally... Hold on. Oh, I see it. I think you probably accidentally made it look like it was a URL. Hold on. They said, oh my gosh, hold on. Why? Remember the rejuvenation expansion. I hear wormholes are begging for some attention. Dare I say some rejuvenation. Though jokes aside, CSP Akami so far looks good. Really good. Yeah, obviously we don't know 100% what's going on with the wormhole update. I thought that the Odysseus is a huge, huge gift to wormholers, but that clearly isn't all that they were talking about. I'm taking D-scan with nobody in local. Now there's somebody in local. Making a ship bonus for wrecking shots. I would say that the Triglavian ships are a wrecking shot based weapon system, because when a Triglavian ship gets a wrecking shot, it's like the entire rack gets a wrecking shot. But yeah, I'll have to see what kind of monkey paw finger curl comes alongside the wormhole changes before I'm extremely nervous about what they might do. The Trig has only one turret, correct. But that means that when that one turret crits, it's the equivalent of the entire rack critting, because it is the entire rack. So, like, if another battlecruiser has 8 guns, then it would need to crit on all 8 guns at the same time to have the equivalent bonus damage, which is why wrecking shots are a lot more noticeable on trig ships, and both because you see them more often, because you see them 1% of the time instead of 1% times the number of weapons that you have that you're firing, but also when it does happen, it's a big number. Monkey paw finger curl. You've never heard of that? Where it's like you wish on a monkey paw and it's like the finger curl, and then you get like some parable version of your wish because it's a cursed item. Like we'll see exactly what they mean by rejuvenating wormholes. I'm skeptical. From seeing crits in a multiple of games, crits are only really interesting when they activate another effect or open up something else. Well, that's closer to like a proc. Because there can be effects that like proc other things. And that could be cool too. It would be cool if like wrecking shots could have a chance of like doing damage to a module. It is, I think, still technically true that if you take hull damage, it has a chance of doing module damage too. New wormhole space, but the wormholes are all one way. That's funny. Yeah, I wonder, I especially with everything that's been going on, it feels like some sort of ability to open up wormholes manually, or possibly anchor or you know, keep open a wormhole that you want to keep open. Those kinds of tools may be coming just because of like the connections to the drifter wormholes and the new tech coming out of that. It just feels like that's probably what it naturally lends itself to. But again, no idea because it's going to be design driven, obviously. I think we'll be getting new wormholes built for the small ships in Odysseus. I mean, how would that be functionally different than the shatter wormholes? I scooped my wreck recently and modules are damaged. Well, they get damaged if you overheat. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this in. Oh, local's starting to look sad. By sad, I mean, well, there's 4 people in local, which is actually super low. Stiletto can't get in. So this time we're going to trade in these 2. And then we're going to go back out here. Keep going. So we're going to get 2, at least 2 of these normal ones. And then we'll get the better ones. And hopefully we get a peculiar while we're at it. That'd be amazing. Taking into account what happened in nullsec, it will include more ways for us to get and pester wormhole kappa. I mean, there has been an idea of like, what would skyhooks in wormhole space look like? That might be an interesting one. But you definitely, in my opinion, you don't want wormhole space to kind of overtake the empire building aspect of nullsec, right? So you don't want too much control over your space in wormhole space. But that's why I think like the relationship with the statics and creation of wormholes and stuff like that is probably the most likely thing. I don't know. It's just the problem is that like there are very different reasons when people talk about the value of wormhole space. They mean very different things depending on whether or not you're like hunting for content, trying to, you know, make ISK, you know, whatever. And so like there's no one fix for wormhole space because there's no one thing for wormhole space. Remember the old T3Cs? Imagine a new T3 subsystem which consumes skill points either from injectors or cargo or from unallocated points. That'd be and our OP again. Well, that's the thing. They didn't nerf the T3Cs when they made them no longer lose skill points. I do love the idea of a subsystem for T3 cruisers that allow them to use Triglavian weapons. So like all 4. Uh-oh. Well, now we got a problem. Now we might have company. I'm going to pull in my drones. Yep. Let's go ahead and check to see what happens here. And cloak up. Mimitar faction warfare. And same group. All right. Local is definitely becoming spicier. Now they are going to the other side of the ice belt, so I could theoretically stay on this side and see if they're going to be friendly. Oh, there's another one. Jeez. Okay. Let's align out. And nothing there. Let's just open these now, just in case. We are looking for number of shards. We got 3 shards there, plus an a Skinner component and an extended brain freeze. And then here we get another 4 shards, a skin, and that's it. So 3 to 4 shards per turn-in. So remember, that's 7 minutes, so that's 500,000 ISK per minute. Still not exceptional. But the extended brain freeze is worth like 20 to 30 million ISK, right? All right, so now we align 2. This has a lot more people in local. And the belts are not in D-scan range. Just do as I did, DM them and say truce. Yeah, I don't trust that at the moment. All right. How? By making drifters invade C5, C6 with mining ships, cloaky battleships with combat probes hunting players as they rebuild from the last event. I mean, I do think that, like, ultimately, if you're going to do something exciting with wormhole space, it probably should incorporate the drifters. That one looks clear. Man, this event is so much spookier now that everybody has like combat probes out. Aren't they supposed to be in a gold rush phase? What do you mean? Gold rush is a design concept where some things like appear in like, or like make certain systems valuable for a short period of time, such as the Prismaticite site. How does that mesh with wormholes? Well, so the big value of a wormhole system potentially would be like, and this is the thing that I keep coming back to when I think about things, is that a lot of times wormholes living isn't about your actual home hole, but it's about what your hole is connected to. They cannot warp directly to me when on a site, but they know that I'm at the gate at 0. So if they also are at the gate at 0, they can catch me. So like, one of the things that I think wormholes will be really good at when it comes to gold rushing is like, well, what happens when your wormhole happens to be connected to somewhere that is suddenly very valuable? New wormhole ships would be nice, besides the Odysseus. Tech 3 battleships that combine T3 destroyers and T3 cruisers would be cool. That, I mean, like a T3 battleship could be, the battleship space definitely has some design space open to it. Being only 2 battleships, T2 battleships. Like, do you get 3 subsystems slots that act like T3D modes? Maybe. An advanced maelstrom would be cool, yeah. What if the wormhole was connected to somewhere totally new that would only exist for a couple of days or weeks? So one of the things I've always thought about is like, especially after the Caroline Star event and the Emergence Threats trailer? No, the Prophecy trailer. and also inheritance, is the idea that like the crown jewel is Jove space, right? Jove space is this, space that has these great treasures, but possibly a catastrophic event has happened there in the fact of like the Caroline star explosion taking down the stargates. We don't really know the nature of like how what the current state of the technology and the infrastructure that's there is, but we do know that nanorot is tearing apart the Jovian structures. So it could be this space that we could find ways to access, but could not colonize in order to loot, the ancient technologies of the Jovians and bring them home. And the focus on the Deathless only seems to really reinforce that point, right? They've been teasing Jove space all decade. I'm apparently babysitting a new bro who is using a pack rat to store his ore instead of just turning them in and not opening the containers. Huh. I mean, not opening the containers is probably a good idea. Uh-oh. I'm seeing a giant multi-box fleet just jumped in. We'll see. We'll see if they show up here or not. By the way, pro tip, one thing you can do, even though this is like an all-in-one inventory, you can grab your mining hold and you can actually drag it out. So then you can see both your ice hold and your cargo at the same time. Hopefully we're fine. So many promises. Yeah. Although it was always kind of presented as just an idea, right? Eve power creep is somewhat kept in check because logistics and costs. A Drake is still useful just because it is cheap and can be built anywhere. So it's the OG noob ship. I actually think that EVE Online overall is pretty successful at keeping down power creep, just because, there's cost. I was actually talking to Malak about this last night, where it's like, I was actually, I was watching the Belligerent news video from like a few months ago. I was talking about the EU, the new EU proposal for video games, based on that one horse game or whatever. And I know that some people mentioned it before, but I didn't really know that much about it. Now I looked a little bit into it, and what struck me is that, like, in the same way as the transition to free to play was very, very smooth for EVE Online, ironically enough, the nature of EVE Online insulates CCP quite a bit from the things that are like being tackled when it comes to the fairness, whatever, the digital fairness, whatever game act that they're talking about. Because, like, so the idea that like premium currency must be purchasable in any quantity, not just bundled quantities, the fact that things need to be refundable, and FOMO, anti-FOMO practices. I think that actually EVE Online sort of gets away with some of that because, like, because the premium current first of all, because everything's ephemeral in the game, there's not like a guaranteed, like, quote unquote satisfaction guaranteed, right? If you buy Plex and then sell that Plex for a battleship, and then jump in that battleship and head into LowSec and get blown up, I think it's very easy to argue that you got exactly what you paid for. And if you attempt to refund that, that would be the equivalent of like buying a piece of physical merchandising, trashing it, and then trying to get your money back for it. Uh-oh. Don't do that. And so, like, I think that CCP could easily argue that Plex that is either sold on the market or, even turn into something that is then sold on the market is like now in play. And so a lot of those reimbursements now, if you buy Plex and then you buy like a skin for Plex off the skin store, even then you could then sell that Skinner item on the market, and that puts it in play. So only if somebody like bought the skin and then applied it to their account could they argue that they should be entitled to a refund, right? More like buying a gift card than buying an item and trashing it. That's fair. What do you mean by riches? What? Where? What? Hold on. You mean in Jove space? Well, like cool technology, right? Oh, what? What's happening? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What we're saying is that if Jove space ends up being like this new content place, it'd be a new place to introduce Jovian technology, which is something that, in particular, things like the Deathless, Edencom, Upwell, etc., are very interested in. Let's go ahead and check out 2 of these fresh caches. See how much better they are. So we got 3 fragments and 4 fragments last time. And 1 skin and 1 Skinner component in 2 boxes. And the extended brain freeze. It could also be associated with things like bastions. All right, so let's go ahead and open up these fresh caches. See what we get. This is 6 shards, so 2 more? The Manticore Aurora Universalis skin is probably pretty good. It's 13 million estimated, but still. Man, these doodads are just not worth... Whoa. I lied. So this one also comes with 6. And that's about it, actually. And 2 a Skinner component and a skin. So you do get more Skinner components and skins for it. Uh-oh. What's going on, dog? Yeah, remember that, like, not everything has to be necessarily stronger. It could be more flexible. It could be related to a new device or a new doodad or a new ship type. Like, what happens if CCP decides to try to give us drifter ships? We might have to go and get pieces of tech in order to assemble them. I don't know. What is going on? What's going on? Are you okay? It's a mining activity. They're going to make it work for it to be profitable. Well, that's the thing is that honestly, the big reward from ice mining seems to be... Are you okay? It's okay. Why are you so spooked out? What's going on? Going up? Going up? Okay. Okay. Here you go, Zoya. It's okay. You're okay. Everything's fine. I think she probably just heard somebody outside at the door. Hopefully she doesn't bark real loud into the mic. You're okay. What's going on? What are you doing? Here, you want a treat? This is kind of wild. All right, hold on. Here, treat. Treat? Like the stream for the puppers. For the puppers. This is Zoria Triglav. She's the best extirpator of the Posh Lost. New mechanic like a jump drive without the need of a Sino. That would be weird. The problem is that I wouldn't necessarily call that new design though, because that would like make the old design obsolete. And in the same way of like the Drake is still useful, CCP doesn't try to make something that absolutely replaces something else. So there would have to be some other balancing factor that makes it necessary. Like maybe it can jump directly to any of the not skyhooks, but shipcaster beacons or something weird like that. But I still also think that a lot of things like CCP really needs to make the next 6 months lead up to Vanguard. So I still, my mind always goes back to that. Vanguard and what are those called? Bastions. But new deployables, like for instance, what if the new wormhole controlling devices require going into Jove space to get them? Whoa, right? Because, you know, whatever. Could be. I'm praying for Vanguard to be good. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. Like at this point, the last few times I played it, I felt like, hey, as soon as this is persistent and like a real thing, I think I'm ready for it. I think I'm ready for it. I also think I'm ready for it to become like the player housing of Eve with bastions. Waiting for tanks to return? Yeah, vehicles will be good. I mean, yes, it could obviously use more stuff, more toys, more, you know, whatever. But like, I'm saying like, as far as, okay, I can get into this. I can develop. I can build up my little house or, you know, my collection or whatever. I can get behind it, even where it's at right now. Obviously, it needs to go further eventually. But the last few times I've played it, it was in a very good state, honestly. I would create a new kind of drops for Eve too. Oh yeah. The idea that like something in Vanguard is valuable to people in Eve and vice versa is going to be probably pretty critical. And I think that bastions are a big source of that too, where, you know, if your bastion has a physical place in space, then you might be able to broadcast out an effect that you would like. You can almost like own a low-sec system or maybe a wormhole system. Maybe that's a piece to it, right? You can have your little Vanguard bastion in a wormhole. Probably not, but maybe. Imagine you do Stargate connection, Doti to Intaki. That would be strange. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Oh. An anathema. Oh. Hey, while we're waiting for this to happen, I do want to talk about something that's a bit odd that I noticed while I was setting things up. Shipcaster is good, but does it have a supply of ships in market? Well, that's up to us, right? Players need to stock Mehator, Intaki, etc. in order to make it available. I mean, they put in the facilities, so there's an anchorage in each of the headquarters systems that have all the facilities that a station can have. Yeah, the shipcaster can be very useful, especially for faction warfare people. All right. So here's something very weird that I noticed when I was looking at stuff, because somebody was talking about there is talk on Reddit about veteran players subscribe for as low as $6 a month, and people talking, of course, about the $20 a month thing. And so it made me want to think about, like, okay, well, how much has that actually impacted the actual, like, game, like the population over time, the change from $15 to $20. And while I didn't actually get there, I did notice something very, very odd, which is that I've talked about this before, how this has been a very successful event overall, like or expansion overall, not event, expansion overall. The Catalyst expansion, like, has brought back a lot of people. It was the highest PCU since 2000, or since the pandemic. And yeah, like the 7 day, or not the 7 day, but the free Omega does factor into that. But the other expansions that have been released over the last several years also came with free Omega. And so, like, the fact that it's even higher than those means something. So, like, we've talked about how the Catalyst expansion has been successful, but these numbers are actually very, very interesting to me, because we can see here that this is the last year up here, and we can see that, like, this final peak at the top, this bringing back up, this lull is kind of the summer, September, and then in November we see it climb up after the Catalyst expansion, right? So there's that. But what's really, really weird is that if we scroll down here to the newborn creator graph, we actually, I'm used to seeing a big spike of new players being created at around the same time as some sort of popularity, right? But what's weird is that if we look down here, can we zoom in on these a little bit? Yeah. If we look down at the bottom here, it actually seems to trail off at almost the exact time. And in fact, we can look at, like, the last 6 months, it goes down. The last month, it goes down. The past week, or not the past week, past 3 months, the past 6 months, there's a spike, but then it's down over November. And what's weird is that the spike down, or like the fall down on the new players being created graph, it's the lowest point in new character creation since the release of alpha clones, which is pretty crazy. But it corresponds with this, like, all-time, or not all-time, but, like, pretty like in recent years high point in player activity. And if we look at the actual market, it looks basically the same. We see there's actually a big spike in total money supply, and I talked about this during the when we talked about this, that, like, a lot of this is probably returning players coming back to the game. And this all shows that, like, if there's anything that I can take from this expansion, is that it is wildly popular, and it got a lot of people who had tried the game before and had quit for one reason or another to come back and try the game again. And they came back to their old characters. They didn't make new characters when they came back, in a lot of times. 100+ trillion activist delta. Yeah, I find that fascinating, because, again, like, the thing about Catalyst was that it's an expansion. People can say, oh, give people what they want. But, like, if 10 years ago you would have said that giving people what they want would be a mining/exploration expansion, you'd be seen as being ridiculous. It's actually kind of wild to me that an expansion that deals with the stuff that kind of has been neglected, not just by CCP, but by the entire player base, and maligned, especially historically, is now, like, so popular and brings people back to the game. And this goes back to, like, the whole survivor bias thing, right? Because, like, the people who are actively telling CCP what needs to be done to fix the game are often the people that aren't the ones that can be won back, if that makes sense. Like, they're either already in the game or, you know, whatever. It's the people that have quit the game because it wasn't what they wanted, that are the ones that like a change could really bring them. Oh, ooh, I got it. I got one. I got one. I got one. I got a rare Icebound salvage. I hope this is going to be a good one. Hell yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and turn in these two. We will do this kind of halfway. I'll get 1 and 1. And then we'll open up all 3 of these. And then we'll call this good. So we're going to trade 1. And then I'm also going to trade one of these. All right. Now then, do we have a station here? We do have a station here. Let's just get out of here. People secretly love AFK mining and fishing in games? Absolutely. That's basically the lesson learned. Well, I guess I'm going to be docked for a while if there's a malediction sitting on the outside. And this is actually a big point where it's like, this is why I'm actually very frustrated with this event and CCP's kind of new idea that events aren't worth as much as they used to be. Because like, part of the reason why CCP doubled down on events is because when like Emerging Conduits was a really awesome PvE. It was like really great for a lot of reasons, but it eventually got taken over by botters, right? Oh, look, I apparently did this already. Oh, this is that. No, I apparently did this last year. Yeah, I did this. This is the same station as last year. That's pretty funny. But like, so that's why events are kind of good, is the fact that it's like these PvE puzzles that exist and are good for players to like engage with, but don't last long enough for like the botters to really like dial in and like deploy their tools accordingly. And so like it becomes a great place for active players to be able to get rewards. And that's why I think it's really sucks that isn't like normal day-to-day activities can still be competitive with event activities. How are we going to do this now? Hold on. I'm going to take these 3, put everything in here. Okay, great. So we're going to start. Oh, I got 2 fresh crates. God damn it. Wait, hold on. How? I could have sworn I got. How did I get 2 fresh crates? I thought I turned in. Oh, all right, whatever. Let's go ahead and open up these 2 fresh crates first. See if anything stupid good falls out of these. I will say, by the way, I think, actually, now that I think about it, I think my heatsink didn't come from the peculiar. It came from one of the fresh crates, so they can still be very, very good. This one's 8 shards and a skin. So it looks like, once again, probably about twice as many shards. So it's like 4 million ISK worth of shards on average, plus an extra doodad, be it a skin or in this case a storm chaser suit. I don't think these doodads are worth that much. I would estimate, based on what I'm seeing, somebody can argue the point if you want, like compared to just the normal size, the normal cans, I think that the doodads to get the extra crate and high sec should only be worth like what, 3 to 5 million ISK at most. Does a key drop from the crate? No. What do you mean by key? You mean like a ULAD key? Those are only from the ULADs. All right, so we opened up 2 million. We got, or 2 crates. We got 7 million ISK worth of stuff plus 15 million ISK worth of shards out of 2 crates with the doodads. So let's go ahead and open up the rare Icebound. We have 6.8 million. Hold on. Can we at least get some of these things out of the way? Okay, great. Can we take something that is like, okay, we don't give a shit about snowballs. We're not going to count the snowballs. We can just move those in there. We can move these in here. And now we have a fresh start. Let's see what's in this Icebound Salvage. Please be good. I've been talking you up. Boom. There we go. 84 Stormhive shards, a skin, some microcircuits, and a low-grade Rapture Delta, plus a drug. So yeah, this thing is easily 90 to 100 million ISK in this one box. So there you go. These are the big prize as far as like your mining stuff goes. And again, you only get these when you finish one of those rocks. Which ironically enough means that, man, it's almost good to get waste. I got cat ears. I did get, oh my God, I got cat ears. I wish they were real. So yeah. There you go. So, like, is the event worth it? I think in the grand scheme of things, like, as with anything in EVE, doing it is worth it. You know, as long as you're not losing ships, you're going to make something. And of course, you know, the track is worth considering. I think that the ULAD doodads are definitely selling for more than they're worth for the most part. Let's go ahead and jump back into Jita and see. Because, like, I want to see how much those doodads are worth now. We will see when they extend the track. That's a good question. I don't know what they're going to do at the end of the track. It is, like, the other thing I don't like about this event, per se, is that, like, so as the winter event, as, like, the Christmas event, I get that it's, like, trying to bring people together. And so, like, having people travel or, like, having it be at the storms so people are concentrated and interacting with other people is actually, like, kind of cool and in the spirit of Christmas. But there's no attempt to make that synergistic. And this is one of the biggest problems that I run into with EVE Online is that, like, the way that things are set up naturally makes it so that if you run into another person, you have an adversarial position with them. You know, two people in a combat site, both people get messed up when it comes to their rewards. If they made it so that if other people got involved, it at least, like, you didn't lose anything, or even, like, it's just like, oh yeah, now the site's being done faster. Like, I think that would be better. Ultimately, the fact that it brings everybody together in order to annoy each other isn't the best. That and the guy's very likely to kill. I'm talking about in high sec. So let's see. What was it? It was the resolver, right? Yeah. 11 million. 11 million per doodad. When I got less than 1 million ISK out of the crates total after using a doodad, which means, like, the doodad is worth negative money, basically. Pretty significantly low, or unless, like, the jackpot is stupid good. But, like, I mean, we did do a relatively small sample size, but again, I believe I got a jackpot from just a normal crate. So you can get jackpots from normal crates too. So, yeah. I don't know, man. Once again, I think that, like, the crates are probably better to sell to gamblers than whatever. You got 300 million mid-grade from the keyed crate as well? Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Again, like, I'm not saying it can't jackpot, and we might have missed the jackpots. But the point is that, like I said, I got quite a bit of value, including a jackpot, without using any keys at all. So if you're talking about how much extra value the key provides, I would be hesitant to argue that it's at least 11 million. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you guys think? Anyway, the point of the matter is that like the low sec, especially the low sec ice mining, is actually a really chill way of making some money right now, as you guys could see. But you know, the other good news is that because of the fact that it's not this giant gangbuster value, it does actually bring down the competition a little bit. You know, I did see people talking about like how thankful they are that CCP put garbage in the data sites because that way there's less people competing over them. So there is some of that too. I just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the events have become less inspiring overall when it comes to the rewards that they get for them. And it's really unfortunate given the fact that there's such a unique opportunity in the fact that they only happen once a year. And so, you know, having unique rewards that can only come out during that once a year, like for instance, the Perseverance, is like there's so much potential for events to have a really solid place in the game. But I've just not, I think that they're a little bit too, just the idea that there's only like 3 or 4 more of the basic doodads in the things when you turn in a low sec doodad. I don't know, man. What's missing is Below Asteroid Christmas Edition for your login soundtrack. Well, I have the Christmas edition of the other one that's on my opening. I know some places where it's not chill at all. Well, that's fair. I can't believe it's not yet done. What do you mean? What? I'm telling you, an extended multi-decade coherent storyline will bring players. I mean, I would say that there is a multi-decade storyline. Coherent is rough. You know, obviously I've spent a lot of time trying to make it coherent. I really think that a lot of that, I mean, like you could tell that a lot of the writing that CCP has done has set up for Vanguard, and kind of what that functions as a catalyst in the story. Because in a book or a movie is one thing. Yeah. No, living stories, like one of the big missed opportunities, I think, that CCP, like, so the invasion was this great story that played out, and it was a combination of CCP and player actions that kind of made invasions happen, right? And they did come out with that comic book series about Rarvos, but like the fact that they didn't turn it into a novel, a novelization of the invasion events, incorporating real players and real events into the overall story yet, I think is one of the greatest misses of CCP so far, for sure. Especially since that story then becomes the prehistory to the shooter, right? But at the same time, there are lots of people that play the game that would argue that, like, there should not be any live lore, that the universe itself should be relatively static and basically a set piece for the player-driven stuff, right? That's a classic argument. I even saw it on Reddit just about a week ago. And I think that, unfortunately, like, that's just not what Eve is, right? Eve, there's a reason why Eve is in the Museum of Art, right? And part of that is the fact that it is a living universe. And part of the way that it is a living universe is how our actions interact with, in both directions, the universe's story too, right? And so, like, I get that there's a lot of people that would rather CCP not necessarily focus on that, but in the same way, I think that that's the exact kind of method, like thinking that got us stuck in a rut for a very long time, that things like Catalyst proves to us that what's missing is those pieces that are weaker overall, but could be improved, right? Oh, nobody plays Eve just to mine. That's boring. Okay, well, does that mean that you don't focus on mining and you focus on the things that are exciting? Because then you're just placating to the exact same audience the entire time. If you instead decide to make mining more interesting, then you actually claim a whole new group of people who would now like jump in on it if it was there. Catalyst is a good proof of that. So like if the lore is unimportant, does that mean that CCP should not focus on the lore? Or does it mean that the CCP should make the lore important? And I think that, at least with my channel and with other places, it's shown that like the more people are desperate for CCP to take the lore and story seriously. For every person who poo-poos it, there are tons of people that just chew up every little tiny tidbit and whatever. And like what they've done pretty good, you know, so far has been pretty good. But when they failed, it has been with a lack of follow through, with a lack of respect, with a lack of like, I'll follow through. I'll just say follow through. Like, and if they could just make that happen, especially as they integrate new things like the map and more information about historical landmarks or like what's going on in the universe and things like Gold Rush and dynamic pieces to the game, like feeling like there's a reason why things are happening the way that they are, I feel it would make a much, like, will help people buy into the universe better and more, and find meaning in it better and more, and maybe even pay more attention to what's going on. Because if a player assumes that the universe is just backdrop, then they're not going to pay that much attention to it. And anytime something does happen, they're going to see it as some sort of disruption that isn't necessary. But if you do see it as a living universe, and then you do see it as there's a reason why things are the way they are, then you're, in my opinion, immediately pulled into a level of depth of the interconnectedness of things that successfully mirrors the design element of like the player side of like the living universe, right? Like, you know, your choices matter and all this sort of stuff. We talk about that. And I think that that comes from existing in a living universe. The event of Turner, for example, I just had to see if there was something that would come out of that with some occasional assholes ruining your day. That simple. Yeah. And that's a good example, right? Where like the Turner event was great and they've harkened back to it many times, which was great. But like there is the whole setup with the Prophet that didn't go anywhere. There was lots of little tidbits that it would be something, and in both in game, like both in the lore, and also some of the things that CCP devs said at the time seemed to suggest that the whole thing with the prophets and the people on Turner could like turn into something next, but it doesn't. And that like EVE Online doesn't like loses people when they disappoint people, when they set up an expectation and then failed to deliver it. And so things like the Turner stuff never being followed up on, things like the Solstice event, like all of the stuff around the Solstice event, but like without actually like doing the execution. Like there's this whole thing about whether or not there was a hack or an attack or whatever. And it was like, they set it up for there to be one, then there wasn't one. And then afterwards they kind of tried to say that there was one. Like, they're so close to making things interesting. Just think about how much we still refer to like the dread attacks, right? Yeah. Vigilantes need to straight protest and demand elections. So that reminds me, as I said at the beginning of the stream, let me know on Thursday. We can either, I plan by the end of the year to both discuss the Gallente presidential elections and the armor or the tanking guide. Well, yeah, the domain of Buyan is still it gets teased, and like Pochvin isn't done yet, so yeah, that's fine. So on Thursday, I need to know. Comment in the comments down below, DM me in chat, wherever. Do you want me on Thursday to cover the tanking guide or the presidential election? Those are my that'll be what our focus is on. Let me know. Maybe they pick up the threads again in the future. Yeah, no, that is definitely part of it, right? Where they leave. That is actually the reality of it, which is that they often leave things as like hooks to be picked up later on, if necessary. But that's my point is that like often just a little tiny bit of extra follow through, one extra cycle of follow through would do absolute wonders. Because now we just have this growing collection of things that are kind of like, well, that feels like it should have been something, but what is it? And like maybe they'll be paid off eventually, but I don't know. Like a good example is like actually the Gallente presidential election. From my understanding, CCP Okami has even said that they kind of dropped the ball on the Gallente election, and that's fine, but they still got to do something about it, right? Yeah, they need to go somewhere with the drifters. Look, I've said this forever, which is that the drifter plotline can only proceed so far without the shooter. I think there is something preventing Triglavians from connecting New Eden to Beyond. Yeah, well, they've talked about various different pieces. In fact, even in their latest broadcast, they talk... Hold on. I don't know why they wouldn't use these yearly events as a lore dump inclusion. Well, I mean, well, that's funny. They in 2022, or I think it was, they did actually like tie the lore event, the current events to the event a little bit too strongly. They have been, I mean, with things like the Hollow Clones and now the Yule Lad stuff to a certain extent is a bit of a you know, continuation of stuff. But, you know, when they did tightly tie it in, they actually ruined the events for themselves because, you know, the next year they couldn't change it to undo the story portion of it. So it's a bit like the relationship there is a little bit odd, but or as a precursor crisis, Drifter, Jove, Talakan, Trig, Sancha, Rogue drones, it's all connected. It's true. It is absolutely true. And that is actually, so that is one of the things I want to do next year that I've been thinking about, you know, in the same way that I did like mechanics guides this year. I want to try to like figure out a way to organize the lore to just do a series of lore guides rather than going through like the big long story over and over again. Like try to dial in on like specific things in specific moments of time. I'm still thinking about how to do that correctly, but either way, if we go to here, we should be able to see, yeah, all ancient enemy Azdaja must face extirpation. All tools of the ancient enemy Azdaja must face extirpation. Only then can the ancient domains be brought within the flow of Viraj. Only then is advanced time stability within the domain of Buyan Istana. So stability does not exist within the domain of Buyan at the moment. And part of the reason why is because of the actions of the ancient enemy Azdaja and their lack of control over the ancient domains. So, and they have talked about Pochvin still requiring stabilization and whatnot too. But like give Pochvin an inclusion, like for example, give Pochvin the highest paying sites, but they actually have a reason that they're there, not specifically the winter event, but you know. Yeah. Events that tie into Pochvin would be pretty cool. There hasn't been one of those, I think, at all. No, Wonderland. He's talking about like an event site, like for a short-term event, not just the fact that a very valuable site exists in Pochvin, because obviously the observatories do exist. But yeah, I mean, sure. Although they did add like a bunch of new sites. Like what they did was they took a lot of some of the sites, including the Drifter, God, Vigilant Point site is now in Pochfin. That was in the Turner, like the systems that are adjacent to Zarzak during the event. Yeah. So but a faction mutaplasmids with OP stats. I don't know if that makes sense because like you mutaplasmid faction items. I'm not sure if faction mutaplasmids make much sense. The Unmoored Jove Observatory and Vigilant Point sites are in Pochfin now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But it would be cool if there was a short-lived event that actually does focus on Pochfin at some level. That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, they already came out with super mutaplasmids with the glorified. They already have glorified mutaplasmids. So wouldn't that just be extra unstable? Like wouldn't that just be another tier because there's 3 tiers of mutaplasmids? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that one. I think ship mutaplasmids would be way cooler. Also, allow drone mutaplasmids to allow us to name our drones. You know, little things like that. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to cover before we jump off of this to the next thing? I think that's it. All right. Well, that is all for Eve today. But as a bonus, we're going to jump into a different game. Aha, I said we'd cover Eve here, but like hopefully this counts. And then what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll send this over to my Decanted channel. So that way it'll be one of the first videos that'll be there when it's done. That's the plan at least. We'll see how it plays out. All right, so what I want to show you guys now, it's not well, we're I think unless we have something else to talk about with Eve, which I mean we're free to talk about Eve as much as we want. But another game that I play a lot of just got an update today, a huge update, which is Phasmophobia. So Phasmophobia is a ghost hunting game. And they just introduced the winter event, but with it, they actually introduced like one of the biggest updates that I've seen when it comes to like expanding the game. They put in 3 new ghosts. So I want to jump in there and see what it's like and how it is. I haven't yet played it yet today. I loaded it up to make sure it works, but that's about it. So we're going to jump into that now. And if you guys are taking off because you're only here for Eve, I understand. 07 to you. Like I said, I'll see you on Thursday. Let me know what it is that you want me to cover. But in the meantime, we will be jumping over to Phasmophobia. Boom. Oh, little corrections to my camera. And oh, we don't have chat either. Hold on. Oh, 07. It's just a fun. Like I said, we can keep talking about Eve if we want. I just want to try out the new Phasmo stuff. So in this game, we are hunting for ghosts. Like I said, the house is the locations we go to is haunted. Our job is to actually to figure out what kind of ghost it is. Okay, so there are these different evidences that people can find. These are different like signs that the ghosts can give off, and each ghost type has 3 different evidences that they are allowed to give. Like Banshee, for example, gives ultraviolet, ghost orbs, and dots. So if you get all 3 evidence, you can pretty much nail down exactly which ghost it is. But then also each ghost has their own individual behaviors that lets you figure out what they are. Like, for instance, the mare, because the mare likes the dark, the mare will never turn on the lights. So if the light gets turned on by the ghost, you know it's not a mare. So between those quirks of the individual ghosts and the evidences that are presented to you. You have to detect which type of ghosts there are, while at the same time completing some secondary objectives and trying not to die. So they've introduced 3 new ghosts. It's kind of like we're not the Ghostbusters. We're just the ghost detectors. This is Phasmophobia. So they introduced 3 new ghosts now. So there's the Galu, the Obambo, and the... What is happening? Why are you barking again? And the Dayan. These are the 3 new ones. I've never seen them before. Dayan, it says, Dayan's gains strength to protect herself if people dance too close to her. I assume that means like moving, which is interesting. But loses strength if people close to her stand still. Now, this information is the stuff in the book is vague and sometimes inaccurate. So what this actually means, we'll have to find out. But the Galu, using protective equipment, so using things like the crucifix, or like things that protect you from the ghost, will make it enraged. But once it becomes enraged, then it can become exhausted. When it's enraged, the effects weaken, like the protection effects weaken. And when when it becomes weak, then protective equipment is more effective. I did hear that somebody placed down a crucifix and it immediately hunted while in range of the crucifix. So that's super spooky. And then the Obambo, thanks Obambo, is aggressive. Oh, this one is the one that alternates between hyper aggressive and pretty calm. So we don't know exactly which ghosts we're going to get. We don't even know if we're going to get the new ones. And it is also the Christmas event. So there's some extra stuff there. I actually haven't looked that much into, hold on, actually, the winter event, Winter Jest. So we need to open Krampus Jack in the boxes and complete objectives to earn points. Help with the naughty or nice list by dropping the correct gifts into Krampus's sack. If you succeed, maybe that you'll get a gift too. Okay. I have done nothing to look this up. So we're going to figure this out by ourselves. I'll set up a multiplayer for now, but I'm going to do it single player at first. All right, and I got to update my badge. All right. Okay, now I said that every ghost has 3 evidences, but I play on a difficulty where one of those 3 evidences get hidden. So of the 3 evidence that a ghost can have, only 2 of them get shown, which means that you must then figure out which one of those the ghosts it is, like based on the extra behaviors or whatever, ruling out different ghosts. All right. So the ones with the boxes are the ones that are special Christmas version. I think just for the sake of things, I'm going to check out just the normal vanilla base level, just so everybody can kind of see what this is all about before we get deeper into it. This is the game that me and Malak and a few others play all the time together when we're not playing Eve. So if you see us in the other games channel, you can always hop in there and tell us to come play Eve instead of this. Okay, so we have all this different equipment, and so a lot of these equipment are for... oh, hold on, let me turn on desktop audio. A lot of these equipment are for getting those evidences, things that I was talking about. Like, for instance, the Spirit Box only works for ghosts that have Spirit Box. This only works for ghosts that can write. This is ghosts that can be seen on dots, UV, etc. Some other items are more general, like, for instance, salt gets used for all different kinds of ghosts, although it can help trigger UV. And like the EMF, you can always find when ghosts do things that triggers on the EMF, but certain ghosts will trigger an EMF 5. So all ghosts will trigger on EMF. Some ghosts will only will trigger EMF 5. Same with like the thermo. The ghost will always make the room cold. Uh-oh, I just realized this is not going to work. Let's go like this. Whoop. Yeah. The thermo will, like, it'll always be colder in the room with the ghost, but certain ghosts will make it go below freezing, right? And then there are some items that are just for extra stuff, like, or recording material. So the sound recorder, the video recorder, and the camera. You have to take, in order to get maximum points, you have to take 5 photos, unique photos of different stuff, 5 unique videos of different stuff, and 3 unique sounds from different stuff. These can be evidences and other things that happen. And then there's also these optional objectives, including I need to hear the parabolic mic, and I need to escape the ghost, which means it needs to hunt. It needs to see me, and then I need to get away. And I need to repel it with incense, which is good because I need to get away anyway. So that's those last 2 I can complete at the same time probably. So now that I got my stuff, including I've got my headlight, my lighter, and then my 3 favorite opening set. I've got the UV or the EMF to help figure out where they are, the UV to help, or sorry, the thermo to help out where they are, and the crucifix. The crucifix should prevent a hunt if the ghost tries to hunt, which is when they can kill you. When they're in the range of the crucifix prevents that from happening, except for that new ghost. So maybe, so we'll find out. So we can see that the house is on average about 8 to 10 degrees. Right now I'm looking for the surge protector, not surge protector, breaker. That way I can turn on the power in the house. Now that the power is on, the heat in the house will start to go up, except for in the ghost room, which will still be going down. Why is it almost every game pales in comparison to Eve? Because Eve is a whole nother level. It's not just a game. It's like a... That's like... Oh, I heard that. That's like saying, like, why is every hobby pale in comparison to high-level model train collection? Right? Like that. Like there's certain things that are just... And that goes back to like the whole thing about like the alpha clone and the free-to-play, which is that, you know, Eve is uniquely equipped to deal with those kinds of things because of the fact that like it has its persistence in the universe and it is about the story as opposed to just like a game, as it were. You know, it goes back to, you know, Pochfin, right? Like Pochfin, people, they made the decision that structures that were in Pochfin were already in Pochfin, but you couldn't drop any more structures. And this was controversial. But in the end, you know, like people complained that eventually there'll be no structures in Pochfin. And I agree with that. But at the same time, that means that there will be a story of how we came to have no structures in Pochfin, right? That's a thing that plays out and is still playing out to this day. And I think that makes that meaningful. Like the fact that the end state is like it's inevitably going to be where there's no structures in Pochfin, I think does not necessarily diminish the story of how we get there. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Are you... Where are you? Where are you? Oh, okay. It's using my headset. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, so it's not a spirit box ghost. But it is in here. As we can see, it's a lot colder in here. Yeah, it is a way of life. It's like I've many times likened it to like a model train set, because it's this thing that you pour tons and tons of time and money potentially, and not even necessarily for the enjoyment of what it is that you do it, but like for the ultimate result of what you build out of it. And then you try to drag your friends over and try to explain to them why it's so awesome, and they all look at you like you're like silly. It's like that level of hobby as opposed to a game. Let's see, we want UV. We'll do salt and camera. Did I fuck this up? Salt, UV. Oh, I didn't put up dots. Darn it. Doing stem the flow agent mission? I don't remember that one. That is one of the things I want to cover, like, doing agent missions, like, more than ever. SOE agents, but also Upwell member corporations are now very interesting from an LP point of view because of the things that got added. And I think I want to look into, like, how to get the most out of that. Kind of defeats the purpose that you can just come back and get all the equipments. What do you mean? Oh, see, so this guy left a UV print on the door. So that's UV. So I can go here and go to ghosts or evidence and set UV. And that eliminates all of the ghosts that don't have UV. Which includes, I still could have 2 of the new ones. So that's exciting. I thought the point of the game was to make do with what you have to find the ghost. No, like, there are special challenges that have limited equipment. But, like, the whole point is that, like, the first phase of the game is the first phase of the hunt is what we're doing right now, which is, like, bit by bit, bringing in equipment and setting things up. It's also worth noting that this game can be played with up to 4 people at the same time. So normally you would have, like, a team of people and everybody kind of brings in some. But I'm playing by myself, so. But yeah, no, it's all pretty essential stuff. So the first step is to find which one is the ghost room, and then you start bringing in your equipment and setting up your stuff to be able to figure out what kind of ghost it is. So I need to get 5 different videos. I could have taken a picture of the UV if I'd wanted to. They should just give it. They've talked about this. Because, like, explicitly you can only carry in 3 at a time. The act of, like, going out and coming back in is part of the game. Oh. You hear that? That is EMF 5. So I'm going to take a picture of that. And it also turned off the light, which doesn't mean anything. So EMF 5 and ultraviolet means it has to be a Galu, a Djinn, a Myling, an Obake, or a Goryo. Now, there's another handprint. Have I missed any? Nope, we just started. So the Goryo, it can't be a Goryo because Goryo has to have dots as it's one of the 3 things. So it'd be EMF, ultraviolet, and dots. But dots is currently, but the third thing is hidden. Whatever the ghost has, the third thing is hidden. Goryo can't hide the dots. It has to have dots if it's going to do dots. Or if it's going to be a Goryo, so we know that it's not a Goryo. The Djinn... So when we get a hunt, we'll be able to tell the difference between the Djinn, the Myling, and the Obake for sure. The Obake is more of a normal ghost, but he can shapeshift. And also, this is why we're checking these handprints, because if the handprints are weird, like has a 6 finger on them, then that'll let us know that it's an Obake. The Myling is extra loud when not hunting, but very quiet when hunting. So that's one of the things that we can tell. And the Djinn gets faster when it sees somebody, and it's a little bit far away. So we can tell that during a hunt too. The Galu, however, is brand new. So this is the one that protective equipment pisses it off. So in theory, if it hunts in this room, even though there's a crucifix down, it's probably a Galu, and I'm probably dead. So we're going to go get some more stuff. My money is on Obake. It is actually, like, theoretically, it's more likely an Obake than anything else, because in the same way that Goryos have forced dots, Obake has forced UV. So the fact that it is UV means that it's, I think, technically a little bit more likely that it's an Obake. So, okay. So now... Oh, no, I don't. Let's... We need this too. So now we start, now that we've collected our evidence and we have an idea for things, we need to start doing some of the extra stuff. So there's a cursed item in the house to find, there's a bone in the house to find, and then there's all these recordings to find. So I'm going to grab, and then this incense is going to protect me in the case that it hunts, hopefully. So I do need to get the paramic. We're just gonna do that real quick. Oh, never mind. Here's the bone. So there's a bone in every room, or rather in every level. It's randomly throughout the map. It's worth points to find, so I found it, and it's also a picture. And then the other item is the cursed item, which can be one of several and have fixed locations. So I'm just going to run around the house real quick and look for that. It is tarot cards. So I can take a picture of that, and we can see in the media I've got 3 unique pictures so far. Left for 5 seconds to drop the girlfriend off, and when did we get Phasmo? Yeah, but it was basically probably about the time that you were leaving. So I need 2 more pictures, 5 videos, and 3 audio. So I'm going to turn on the light because that is a good source of video. And I'm probably not going to go for a totally perfect game just because doing that by yourself can be a bit annoying. Like, it's always easier when you've got one person doing like audio recordings, one person doing video recordings, maybe even one person doing cameras. But in the meantime, you know, I'm going to try to get at least a couple of videos. It's gone quiet. I don't think it's a Galu. Although I don't know whether I'd have to go check my sanity. Like, so being in the dark, being hit by ghosts, etc. Hold on. Power that up. Now I'll go get the camera and take a picture. Yay! What was I saying? I don't know what I was... Oh yeah, being in the dark or being hit by ghost events or whatever can lower your sanity, and different ghosts have different sanity thresholds in which allow them to start hunting. Can I get both? No. Dang it. So we're going to do this one on this normal map just to kind of show you guys the idea, and then we're going to go into the Christmas level maps, including the new map, which is the diner, which just came out like a month ago. Hopefully we'll find a new ghost while we're here. Trying to listen for... Up. Got that one. There we go. So now I got a paranormal sound, paranormal talking, as well as the fire extinguishing sound. And I've got 2 videos and 4 images. So not too bad. But again, I'm not going to like try too much for a perfect game right now, per se. I'm going to check my sanity now. The whole going back to the equipment and littering on the ground with them is kind of silly. Hey man, the silly part is actually you don't have to pick up your stuff afterwards. You can just leave it behind. But yeah. So my sanity is currently too high for almost any ghost to hunt. So I need to lose some sanity. Unfortunately, the tarot cards are like the most inconsistent cursed item when it comes to controlling your sanity. Come on. Why do you keep turning off the light? I mean, I guess that does also lower the sanity, so we can just do that if we want. There we go. Nope. Why? Come on. try and record the motion sensor going beep. How does the sanity mechanic work? So, like I said, as you are in the dark or potentially hit by ghost events or whatever, you lose sanity. And then different ghosts have different thresholds in which they are allowed to begin a hunt. And during the hunt, that's when they can kill you. But it's also, like, a lot of ghost idiosyncrasies come out during the hunt, too. So it's like how you... It's easiest to detect, or, like, to figure out what type of ghost it is based on their behavior during a hunt. Come on. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. And like as your sanity goes lower, the ghost becomes more active. Most ghosts have a threshold of 50% average sanity is when it can hunt. But like a demon, for example, can actually hunt at any time, but has a normal threshold of 75%. And there are some ghosts that are like up, you know, more. Some of them are lower. Like the Fae gets older, so like in the very beginning of the game, they can hunt very early. But if you hang out in the ghost room a lot, then it'll age them, and then it becomes harder and harder for it to hunt. So like whether or not a ghost hunts early or whatever, these are all the pieces that can be used to figure out what kind of ghost it is. What is happening? Really? Really? Oh, that was a ghost event. Okay, so that was a ghost ball event? That would have taken some sanity away from me. You can't really see it, but like it turns off the light and then it comes at you with like this like mist and then makes that sound. But seriously though, hold on. How? Where is the thermal? Okay, so it's getting a little bit warmer in here, but not too much warmer. The ghost should still be in here. Why isn't the motion detector finding it? What is happening? Oh, didn't get that. It keeps touching the door and stuff, but not activating the motion sensor, which is very weird. I wonder if it's a bug. Do the ghosts look different? So there are different ghost models, but the ghost model doesn't really help determine what type of ghost it is, because that would be a little bit too easy, except for the Obake, like I said, does like... During the hunt, it can transform... Come on. How is it doing all this stuff and not triggering the motion sensor? Oh. Okay, that was not a ghost. That was kind of what a ghost hunt looks like or feels like, but that was what's called a false event. And that's a red light event. Another shadow ghost. Damn it. Okay, now we're starting to cook. There we go. Thank you. Jesus. All right. So now we got to listen to the paramic in order to hear something. You just come out here, point it in this direction, and wait. So yeah, they actually did just make a change now. So some ghosts are actually always going to be male, and some ghosts are always going to be female. So, like Krampus is always male, and the Banshee, and I think the new one of the new ones. Is that a... Yep, that was paranormal sound, all right. One of the new ones is also, I think, always female. All right, well, this has been exciting enough. Let's go ahead and... All right, well, that was exciting enough. Let's go ahead and figure out what, play around with some tarot cards. Let's find a hiding spot. No. Oh, it's hunting. Hi. Okay. I don't think that that was a Jinn. It did not sound like a Myling. It might have been a... It's either a Jinn or an Obake, I'm pretty sure. Let's throw down this incense. What are you saying? Women can't be eldritch abominations if they want? No, what? Well... There are no more male banshees. Alright, let's grab another incense. So because I used incense, I should have about 1.5 to 2 minutes of, like, no hunts. What is our sanity at, actually? Shit, I forgot to check. My sanity is at 36. So the other thing I can do is run around now that the hunt is over. Hopefully I can grab the UV. Did it touch any doors during the hunt? Grab the camera. Touch that door. Touch that door. Touch that door. Okay. Well, it touched all of those doors and did not leave a special handprint, so that's kind of against Obake. But it was a girl model, so we're going to watch to see, make sure that it doesn't change its appearance. It did kind of do a little bit of a tick up in its speed when it saw me, I think. In a somewhat Jinnish way. I don't think it's a Galu. Wait. Did it burn the crucifix? Oh. Shit. Damn it. Alright, well, we're just not going to get that then. Let's go ahead. It's going to hunt soon. So we're going to sit right here, wait for it to hunt, and then we're going to step over here and here to see whether or not it gets a little bit faster as soon as it sees me. Shit, too close. Fuck. Too close. I actually think that's a Myling. I think that's a Myling. I heard a lot of shit throwing. I heard a lot of stuff, but did not actually hear the footsteps all that much. I think this might be a Myling. I'm going to just check these doors real quick just to make sure. Yeah, we're going to call it a Myling. Get out of here. What do you risk anyways? Like if you die? Oh, well, if you die, you have to rebuy all of your equipment and, you know, you lose a bunch of points. And you're sad. And your friends make fun of you because if you play it with friends. So we're going to go with Myling. We got all of those. We got all of those. Oh, man, we're so close to a perfect game. We're so fucking close to... Okay, whatever. We're going to do this. Oh, yeah. No, if that... During the hunt, like, when it was right there and I smudged it and I ran away, like, if I had not had a smudge, it would have eaten me and I would have died. What was that? Like ghost events and stuff like that, that can't kill you. But during the hunt, if it finds you, then you die. And I didn't bring a smudge, so this could be exciting. Could have gotten EMF 5 as a recording. Could be done by now. No, the ghost events. Did I get it? Unique. Yeah. So the ghost events are designed to bring down your sanity because its goal is to bring down your sanity so that way it can hunt you and kill you. That is a woman. That is correct. In fact, we can see here their name is Leslie Shawcross. And she, I think, is a Malin. And so if I'm right, then I have a perfect game. I've got all 5 unique photos, all 5 unique videos, 3 unique sounds. Let's see if I am right. Yeah, I was right. Excellent. Because I could hear it like knocking around stuff, but I couldn't hear its footsteps, and so that's how I knew it was a Malin. And I get extra points because it's the winter event. No, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, you're just trying to detect what it is. There's actually another game where you try to do the exorcism too, but honestly, that gameplay is not as exciting. But either way, so now we're going to go to the newer map, hopefully find one of the new ghosts, but we're also going to be, this is going to be one of the Christmas sites. So we're going to try to figure out what the hell to do during the Christmas event, because we have to find the Christmas presents and put the right Christmas present into the bag or something. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the map that just came out like a month ago. This is Nell's Diner. It's a very cool map. What I just showed you is like the very first map from the entire game. This is the latest one.
Take a look at the equipment and prepare accordingly before starting the investigation.
Ignore him. He has no idea what he's talking about. Here we go. It's all Christmassy. And it's snowing. What's this? Nice and naughty. So Jerry Barton, Nancy Dreyer, Carlos Winston, and Lisa Todd are on the nice list. Ann Grayton is on the naughty list. Wait, hold on. Charles Carey. Wait, that wasn't any of the names, was it? Charles? No. So the ghost is not on this list. Anne is naughty. Everybody else is nice. Okay, Christmas tree. That's it. Whoop. I need to get the power on. I heard that. There's power. And It was this door that we heard. So let's check this room. Yep, it's this room. So this room has the ghost. We're going to put some stuff down. And then go get more stuff. Walks back to the truck when the overview tab... Oh, God, you're right. The overview tab does have the name. I'm so silly. There's also a really cool Easter egg on this level that I can show you guys if you guys are interested. You'd think having a pentagram on your lighter would be a liability in this line of work? Well, I mean, you're trying to attract the ghost. Well, the pentagram is a protective symbol. Oh man, I need to check. I need to check to see if I can get stuck in the car again, because I hear that I saw in the patch notes that they fixed that. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Are you friendly? Two. Oh, I saw that. Did you see that little flash right there? There, you could see the dots, or the ghost and the dots for just a second. Do we not? No UV? Wait. Oh, that's a breaker. So it's not a Jinn. And it's not an Oni, because it did a ghost ball event. No UV. I think I heard EMF 5. So it's dots for sure. There goes the dots again. Do I want a duo? Yeah, I could hop on and do multiplayer for a little while if people want after this round. I don't really need a salt, because salt would be good for detecting... Oh, I guess I could use it to detect the Wraith still. But it's not UV. You need to get a video camera in there, though. I'm used to playing it with, like, Malak and Clue in them, and so, like, not having to carry in absolutely everything. Well... That is one of the exciting things about this game, is that there's so much of it that's about learning the things. Like, you jump into it at the first time and everything's scary and crazy and you don't know anything and it's like, you know, spooky. And then eventually you start to gain more and more mastery of it by learning all of the little quirks and details. And that's one of the things I actually really like about it. Ah, oh, come on. Dots Ghosts recording is like the worst thing to try to get. Oh, this one's very active. The best games are where the mechanics are esoteric and you learn yourself instead of having it spelled out for you. Yeah, and it's one of those things that, like, the community, like, right now, you know, the information about these 3 new ghosts are, again, pretty vague in the book. And so the community's actively working together to try to figure out what does it all mean. Right? So every time somebody gets one of the ghosts, people are posting them on Reddit, being like, yeah, this, and this happened. People are making speculations. Like he said, like, oh yeah, as soon as I threw down the cross, it hunted. Well, we don't know if that was just a coincidence or if that was, like, something to do with it. Yeah. And trust me, it's very, like, because there's so much different ways it can play out, even the same, you know, doing the same maps over and over again, like, each hunt is just a little bit different, which keeps it unique and interesting, in spite of the fact that whether or not you know what's going on. Like, now it has stopped doing dots. Which leads me to wonder if it's still here. It may not be here, because it's now starting to warm up here. So if it's not there, the ghost can move. And it might just be in the hallway now. No, yeah, there are lots of games that are like this, and there's a reason why this game has continued to be so popular in spite of that, which is that, like, there's just the right amount of, like, randomness to it to make it so that each ghost kind of feels like they have their own personality, each map feels like it has its own personality, but each hunt is somewhat unique, just based on where the ghost goes. You know, I've had demons that just happen to be extremely passive. So even though, you know, demons have the capability of being aggressive as hell, if they just decide to not be aggressive, then, like, it's easy to accidentally think that it's a different kind of ghost, right? It's like, oh, yeah, the ghost hasn't hunted yet, and we're at 30% sanity. It must not be a demon. But there's nothing that forces a demon to hunt. You could just have a demon that never hunts. The game could use a third party. I mean, well, it is definitely good as a multiplayer game, if that's what you mean. What do I want? What do I want? I want... Wait, am I full already? Yeah, never mind. You, the ghost, something else? Well, I mean, your teammates and the ghost, maybe. But... Oh, it turned off the breaker again. What was that? I didn't hear that at all. All right, let's see. So is it out here or is it in there? That's the question. It is 6.5 here and 2.8 here. So it's in this room. And I saw dots when I did the spirit box, so I'm pretty sure I don't need to test for spirit box again. So I could if I wanted to. Let's see. Put the dots up here. Oh, it taps the salt out here now. That's excellent. Good. Cool. The Christmas sounding footsteps is because of the Christmas. Oh, shit. No! All right, well, it wrote in the ghost book. So that's ghostwriting. So we've got dots and ghostwriting, which makes it Thay, Obambo, or Diogen. So Thay is going to be super active and then become less active over time. The Diogen is actually going to take the longest amount of time to hunt, but it requires Spirit Box, so it can't be a Diogen. And the Obambo is new. It might be a new one. It's a 50-50 chance to be a new one. Okay. Okay, so this will alternate between highly aggressive and passive, whereas the Thay will start very aggressive and will become more passive over time. What? A Ouija board game? Well, there is a Ouija board. That's one of the cursed items, obviously. I would introduce another avenue for randomness. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, played it a lot myself, and having watched like people like Insum who have played an ungodly amount of hours of this game, I feel like the randomness that exists is actually pretty decent. There is like an update, a Horror 2.0 that they're supposedly working on, and like will include things like hallucinations and whatnot. What all do I need to do? Photo, video, incense. Okay, well, what else am I out here for? Oh yeah, the other book. Oh, I don't have... Okay, whatever. I shouldn't have brought the EMF. Oh, test the age check for Thay. That's true. Where is the Ouija board on this map? Are you in here? I actually have not figured out where all the ghost items are yet in the map. So actually, let's grab the camera and we'll look for that and the bone. Also, there's like the Christmas presents or whatever. Like these. Hold on. Oh. And it blew out the light at the exact same time. Okay. That count? No, that didn't count as a picture. Wait, what? What is the curse? What are these? Can I pick these up? I can pick these up. Presents. But not interactable. I don't know where the Ouija board is. If you turn on too many lights at the same time, you can blow out the breaker, so you got to be careful. Light switch management. Gingerbread cookies. I don't see any cursed items over here. In the closet it started in? Okay, so there's no Ouija board here. Check this area out. We're looking for bones, for presents, for Ouija board. Nothing here. What is this? Is this coal? Is that coal? Do I need to take that to the naughty kid? In the refrigerator. And the freezer. But there's nothing back here. Okay. That's gonna spook me when they throw it. Am I not? No, you can backseat. It's fine. You can get frustrated with me. I don't see any of the there's items. Ah, there's the dots. So it's still in there at least. I didn't check the bathrooms. That's where I didn't check. Right? Yay, found the bone. So I only found the one Krampus present so far. Not sure what I'm supposed to do with the presents or the good, naughty, and nice list thing. Also, still, wait, hold on. Still have not found the cursed item, right? And that's what happens when you break the breaker. All right. No, seriously though, where is the cursed item? What is the cursed item? Why is the cursed item? I'm gonna die just looking for the cursed item. Screw it. Oh, found it. Tarot cards. Again, of course. God, the worst one. All right. Oh, yeah, I need to take a picture of it. So... now what do we do? So we found the one present. How do I know... what do I take to where? So this... so I need... Anna Grayton gets... I'm sure... so, okay, so there's pigs and... well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think, like, we were finding different stuff around there, right? So there's those little pigs that you can pick up. There's the gingerbread man. I'm assuming that's coal. 2 coal and something else, like a candy cane, maybe? But, like, where do I take it for Anne? Hold on. I'm not going to check my sanity. Screw it. We're just going to die. I do have incense. Alright, so I'm going to take this coal. I'm going to take it to the Krampus thing. Nope. That wasn't it. There's the dots. Probably shouldn't throw that down. Where was that? Also, there's my EMF. Why is all this stuff happening and it doesn't even, like, trigger... okay, what's happening? Are we still here? Did we go to a different room? Ah, perfect. No UV. Okay, so there's no UV. Pig, snowman, cold tree, cookie. Yeah. But, like... what do I do with it? Do I take it out here? Are there... wait, there's got to be stockings hung up somewhere, right? If I hung up stockings, where would I hang up stockings? I just... oh! I got coal too. Okay. How do I... alright, I'm gonna go grab a pig. Or can't... fuck it, we're just gonna grab a candy cane. It's the closest thing. No? No? Put items in the bag before opening the box. Oh, wait, what? Is that what it... is that true? Am I cooked now? Alright, well. I probably messed it up. Okay. Let us... try to keep actually doing the hunt. I found the curse item, I found the bone, so yeah, we're good to go. I just need to figure out what the hell this is. See if we still have dots in here. Do we still have dots in here? Are we still in here? Maybe. I have no clue. I want to look it up this year and learn the Easter egg so I know as much as you. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay, so we still have dots in here. I think we had an EMF 5, right? Oh, no, we had ghostwriting. Okay, so... I think this might be an Obambo. Just because, like, if it was a Thay, it'd be aging out down, right, or aging up, I guess, right by now, and so be doing a lot less. And clearly, this is not doing less. Do I have a picture? Yeah, right now it feels like it's an Obambo in its active phase. If interaction, that's it. You're not allowed to not have a clue. You are clue. That's true. No clue, and winging it is my whole shtick. That's okay. That's, I mean, you know. I don't hate you for it. Hey, I got a Dotscopes video. That's hard to do. Okay. So we're going to put that down now. And we're going to go check our sanity and pick up a couple more things. All right, we're at 56% sanity, so it's getting pretty close to be able to hunt, unless it's an old Thay. An old Thay would actually have its threshold reduced, so it would have to get lower sanity in order to be able for it to hunt. Let me grab that. Do I have a sound recorder? Yeah. What am I missing in there? Oh yeah, I have to grab the second book. That's it, right? Yeah. I'll grab a second incense just in case. What time is it? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to drop the book here and this here, and then grab the camera. No. Okay, let me not have the book down then. Where did I put the camcorder? Oh, yeah, there it is. Never mind. There's that one. both the ghost book and the blowing out of the firelight can be both a video and an audio recording. So I'm going to try to get both a video and an audio recording, whichever one happens. We'll see. So funny. So funny. You're going to fucking write in the book while I'm out. You're going to write in the book right now, aren't you? You jerk. Nope. Okay, great. I think I already have a door move. Yeah. Third-party Eve tool for exporting and notifying you when something happens, like when you decloak? What? I don't... That doesn't sound like a thing. I don't know of any third-party tool. Oh, well, I don't know. That doesn't sound... That sounds potentially sketchy. I wouldn't... I don't know. I don't know anything about that. That API would have access to all the logs. Well, yeah, you could theoretically like read off of the text log like the Peld does. And you might be thinking about something like Tripwire or, you know, one of the navigational tools, but like detecting when you get decloaked is a very... I can't think of any third-party tool that would be able to do that without being very, very sketchy on whether or not CCP is okay with it. You're shitting me. You're so cute. So now it's actually like kind of quieted down. Here we go. Damn it, didn't get both. Oh well. I think that this might be our first Bombo, but we're going to be able to find this out during a hunt, and I'm not going to worry about a perfect game. Clear the area with the ghost using incense. We're going to wait to see dots one more time to make sure it's here, and then I'll incense and then go grab the other incense. And then we will start playing around with tarot cards. Whatever, that counts. Does that count? Yes? Okay, great. So that's the incense. So now I actually want to grab the crucifix because I don't want the crucifix to prevent the hunt. The top tier crucifix stops cursed hunts, like from cursed items. Lower tier crucifixes don't do that. Doesn't really matter to you guys, but just so you know. Where did we put... Where was the tarot again? It was... Where was it? Was it over here? Yeah. Alright. Now we're going to pull tarot cards. Or it's hunting. Is it hunting? No. I'm just... I can't turn this light on for some reason? What is happening? Oh, I couldn't turn the lights on with the tarot cards in my hand. That seems wrong. All right, let's go. That's nothing. Doesn't really do much. Puts it back in the ghost room if I remember correctly. That one puts it back in the ghost room. That's a ghost event. Dang it, come on. Wait for a second so that way it's not here. Hello? Hello? There's Krampus. Hi, Krampus. You are a Thay. Old-timey. Old-timer. He's slow. Slow, slow, slow. Alright, that's a Thay. That is what Thays look like, or sound like, when they're hunting. Let's just go. Alright, I'm gonna hop into the on-air channel, if you guys are interested in popping on.
Welcome back. There's some
Yep,
jobs
it was a Thay. Perfect. Excellent. What's up, Clue?
I knew I wasn't crazy.
Well, not sure if that really definitively locks that down, but come on in.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna cloak up in this ice field and see if someone clears it while I'm here, while I'm AFK.
Okay. Are you doing high sec or low sec?
Low sec.
See, that's where it's at.
I mean, yeah, and the one I'm in is completely barren of people, so this is an untouched asteroid field that I've had to myself with literally, like, only 2 apocalypses in system.
Yeah. And that's been true in previous years too, is that like low sec ice mining, like especially because of the fact that the sites are so big and you can descan and like only let certain people in, it's actually pretty safe, all things considered, when it comes to like doing the more dangerous stuff goes.
So anyway, I figured out which like tool I was talking about, and it's on Eve Uni website as a suggested tool. So
Oh, that's fair. I'm always very nervous about recommending things that I'm not 100% sure on.
no, I get you. I remember using it when I first started because they were like, "Oh, you like exploring, blah blah blah," and like I kept getting notifications because I would stay cloaked going going to a gate, and then it would give me a notification because I decloaked in proximity to something.
Mm.
So.
Are you coming?
I am grabbing the thing. Where'd you put the code?
In voice chat.
All right, muting now.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Hi. All right. Let us go.
We've arrived. Check the equipment and get set up.
Completely off topic. If I'm cloaked, rats don't care either, right?
Correct. Unless they just happen to be within 2K of you. They shouldn't be able to see you.
Cool, perfect.
Okay, let's see. Let's try to get stuck in the police car again. Oh, here I come. Da da da. And yep, no longer get stuck. Hell yeah. Okay, in this case, there's a bunch of naughty and one nice, so this is different than before.
So I'm curious because you put the coal in and it dropped the box. I think it might have to be a specific order.
I think so too. But this looks like... God, that's so hard to tell.
Maybe is there an elf on the shelf or something like elf, doll, elf? I'm in your way.
No, I'm just checking to see if I can like... I can like, hey, there we, yeah. Elf, doll, elf. That's it. I think that's probably what we're at least going to test, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now.
So one of the breaker spots is right there. The other breaker spot is possibly right here, and then the third breaker spot is in the supply closet. Oh yeah, no, the character avatars are super goofy. They're supposed to like redo them at some point, but they're almost nostalgic at this point, especially when they like look up or look down or duck. You can do some pretty backbending stuff. Look up.
So the Ouija board.
Yeah, you see? That's normal. That's a normal way for a person to look up.
So the Ouija board would be leaning against these boxes.
Got it. We're looking for some sort of elf, possibly.
It's a monkey's paw.
Okay, I believe it's in the freezer. The freezer is colder than normal usually, but it's usually around 4 degrees, and it's down to 1, which means that it's probably here.
But if you, as you leave, you'll see the monkey's paws on the cutting board right on the corner of the area.
Monkey paw is on the cutting board. Oh yeah, right over there. Got it. Alright, but where is an elf? Or an elf-like thing? Oh. Pretty sure that does something. Oh, there's more than one this time. And it blew out the lights out here. It blew out the lights out here when I did the second Krampus box. There's Gingerbread Man. That's not it, though, right? No, Gingerbread Man looks different.
Oh, no, you know what it is? Come here. Kitchen.
Huh?
Toy soldier.
Not toy soldier. Toy soldier. Okay, so we need 2 of these and a doll. The doll, right? What was the doll?
Girl, it looks like a doll.
There's stars. There's little piggies. Feels like each room has an item. Well, not every room, but... Oh, there's the bone.
Ooh, wait. It might actually be out here, by the way. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Huh.
I'm curious on if it moved, because it's cold in this room.
It could be.
Yeah, just touch the door.
Where are you?
There's candy canes. Where are the dollies? I remember seeing them. Now I feel like I'm going crazy. Try this again. This room has stars. This room has pigs. This room has sticks. This room has, like, triple cluster rocks? I don't know. Oh! Found something that looks doll-like. I think I found the doll-ish thing.
That's 100% it, because it's not a second look, it didn't look like it.
Okay, so now let's see if this works.
Toy soldier first. Hang on, not that first.
Toy soldier first. Ready?
Yep.
Oh! And now this one. And then this one. Hey! Cross it off! Okay, okay. So now I need a 1 lump of coal, a 3 lump of coal, and sticks. Where were the coal? The coal was like in here, right? Yeah. 1 lump of coal. The sticks is going to be in the supply closet. I'm going to get so eaten by a ghost because I'm focusing on this instead. Sticks. And then the triple lump of coal is in here. There we go. Yeah, I got all 3.
Okay. Hang on,
Okay.
I want to come out and see.
Single lump of coal. Now, I don't know.
Here, go ahead.
All right, ready? Single lump of coal. Hey! Triple lump of coal. Awesome. And sticks. Oh! We got a box. Oh, wait. Extra sanity and
That's
extra salt.
really funny.
Okay,
Gives us
well-
actual stuff.
Cool, I guess.
I wish it was something a little more interesting, but...
Almost as rewarding as the EVE Online winter event.
Hell yeah.
All right. Now then, what are we doing? Shit. We're hunting for ghosts, right? Where did you think it is? Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm sure you could guess where that came from.
It did not come from the refrigerator.
Nope, it came from the door, that hallway that has the 2 bathrooms in it. If
Yeah.
my guess is correct on where it was.
Well, it was in that area because that's where I was when it came about. I
And
think
that's
it
where
yeah.
I was seeing breath.
In here.
Yeah, negatives, freezing temps.
Okay, so we've got freezing temps and an angry ghost. What's our sanity at? I bet you our sanity's screwed.
I went ahead and took some sanity since we wasted so much looking for that stuff.
When?
Just, in the middle of the hunt, so.
Oh, because now I don't know what sanity it was at when it hunted.
It was below 50. I was in the truck.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's go in. try to set some stuff up. We need to get a crucifix over here, though. We gotta get the stuff that was in the refrigerator. Or that is in the refrigerator, I should say. Our sanity is probably still not doing that great. Yeah, that's freezing temperatures. You get the stuff? Okay.
What else was in there?
I don't know. Did you get dots?
I got the dots.
Okay. I think that might have been it. Okay.
Hang on. I want to go check what our sanity is because my sanity was in the 90s, so our average should have been decently high.
And we are failing to record or take pictures of fucking anything. Okay, well, now I have no protection.
Wow, that was instant once we hit 50%. You are at 20%.
Well, I'm gonna hope that we can tell from the hunt what it is. Now we wait. So
Do we have two? I only have one. Freezing temps.
only one.
UV.
Okay. So could be a demon, Hantu, Jinn, or Mimic. Can you check for ghost orbs?
Did you take the camera?
No.
Okay, that's weird. I wonder where that went.
Probably threw it down randomly.
Yeah, I don't see any ghost orbs.
Well,
Yeah, no ghost orbs.
I gotta check to see if it's a... Oh, no. Okay, well, rip clue. Oh, is it a gent? Hello? Hello, hello? Hello, hello? Hello? Aw. Alright, well, rip clue. Let's take a picture of the dead body. Aw, he even had an incense. Oh god, that's not a real hunt. Where's the camera? Did Clue have the camera? That's a Jinn. Yep, that was a Djinn. You could tell because as soon as it saw me, it picked up its pace a little bit and then slowed back down when it no longer saw me. So that would be a Djinn. That's a Djinn. Let's just get out of here. And Clue's dead. So it's a Djinn. We didn't actually get any of our objectives done. That's fine. Let's try it. I think that I'm probably going to take a break for now because I need to go take the dog for a walk and everything. So thank you guys for hanging out. Those of you who did in the after show, it was a Djinn. If this is interesting to you, you know, go ahead and hit us up. We play this game all the time, and I could even stream it more or put out more videos about it if people are interested. But I think I'm going to call this for the stream for now. So thank you guys. And then, so like I said, tomorrow I shouldn't be streaming, but Thursday I will. And let me know if you want me to do the lore stuff or the tanking guide. Right now, I think just my vibe check is that we're on... People are pro lore for like the Glente presidential election. I'm always like, do people want to know mechanical advantages in the game or politics in this is like space politics? And it surprises me that people are that interested in space politics. But if people are, absolutely, I'll talk about it. I've got plenty of stuff set up for it, and it'll be a fun journey. But until then, I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing Eve since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put Eve into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Clue, for popping on and doing some Phasma with me. And of course, extra special thanks to my top tier Immortal tier supporters: 745 MPSI, Arydanika the Queen, Bad Boy Smooth, Ebo Elite, Erladis, Elange, Flash Gordon, May, Malak Starfire, Malin, Mercuton, Mayak, Neelam, LM1, Sheesh, Susuro, Thrans, and Rid. Thank you all so much. If you want to become a supporter and help make this possible, of course, you know, I don't have any major sponsorship or, you know, I'm not an Eve partner or anything like that. So I get supported by you and you guys alone. You can do so by becoming a member on the channel, get videos, like edited videos early, as well as some other like less polished, like in progress videos, and access to the member channel in Discord. There's also our Patreon, which also gets access to the Discord channel and such, as well as some merch, including the Convocation of Empyreans mug, cool shirts, etc., etc. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space. Spooky.
Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city